and they'd find kids and they'd stick them over in the mayor's office or at community centers and things like that, and basically give young people their first ideas about work. Going to
Right,
work
and
and
that's
taking
where
instructions from people. You remember all the get out
no,
there.
it is. In fact, that's where we want to return DYA to be on the prevention side, to be on the program side, youth development. The fact that even me, I was a summer youth in Madeline Berdalio's office when I was 15 and 16 years old, and kind of
Right.
influenced me, to into what I would be interested in doing for part of my life. So yeah, absolutely, that's where we want. That's where Lonnie Brennan wants to take that department, while we continue just to deal with some of the youth correctional stuff that goes on as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to have some beyond controls. There are always going to be some kids that can't figure out the rules and might need somebody to help nudge them and guide them. But like I said, I think non-crime is so much more important these days. I was looking over what appears to be the agenda on in the media about the governor's first trip to Washington D.C., the first official trip, and again, World War II loyalty recognition, and that was kind of a surprise to everybody. The H-2B ban from the Philippines, EITC reimbursement. Will there be other that she has an opportunity to talk about? Are they Madeline trying to set up as many meetings with the appropriate people as possible?
Sure, and then also working in tandem with our delegate, with Delegate Nicholas, pushing all the things. She'll be testifying, I believe, in some hearings, and I need to go back to the staff and talk about that. But as my understanding, that she'll be going in front of the House Resources Committee and the Senate Energy Committee as well.
Mm.
I'm trying to recall what the
I was going to say, so you don't know what it is that she's going to be testifying on, what in particular?
I saw it in a brief, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
Yeah, well, speaking of...
I'll let you know.
Yeah, speaking of things I haven't had a chance to read here, I had other things to do over the weekend, so I didn't, just dive into the transition report. Have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes, I've actually, we spent quite a lot of time working with the transition committees. There's quite a large number of recommendations, and still reviewing all the recommendations, but had a chance to get an overview of that, and we have the office breaking it down and managing it with the cabinet heads.
There's, I think, the greatest degree of interest that I had, and there were a couple of stories over the weekend that we're talking about it, were issues with the hospitality industry, and it didn't look like anybody was doing any kind of finger pointing as much as just the transition committee's view on where there were some gaps in the hospitality industry, and I think the most important one is parks and the restrooms, and so now you're going to be the guy that will be in charge of island beautification. Is that right?
Already, in fact, I have reports coming in giving us a clear picture of what the status of each and every one of these public restrooms are.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be announcing shortly that Mayor Robert Hoffman will co-chair the Island-wide Beautification Task Force with me, and I've been meeting with a bunch of different community partners coming up with a strategy. So island-wide, you're right, the status of park, there's some restrooms that are done better than others. For example, I think one of the better ones is the one in down in Pneumatic at the fort.
Mm-hmm.
That is being done with contract, I believe, with the mayor's office, and using residents to go in and regularly maintain the bathroom. And we're looking at applying that model throughout the island and looking at the different ways to try and make sure we're on it.
Yeah, and I hope Pneumatic is not a unicorn here, but I've my personal recollection going back to the 1980s is that the residents of Pneumatic recognize and understand completely the value of that little jewel, that little southern jewel, and they take almost a personal pride of ownership as a village over those facilities there. It's not just a facility. I mean, it's part of their actual history.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some interesting ideas that we're looking at. For example, Public Works is going to be doing some projects throughout the island with secondary roads, and I'm looking at trying to align some of the cleanup efforts with some of the road projects and focus in on some of the waste that is being dumped illegally. Guam EPA is doing a waste study, kind of identifying those different things coming in through the stream so we can try and stop them at the front end. And of course, the big issue is the enforcement and what strategies that we can come to try and really get this island cleaned up. Illegal dumping is a big problem, and we're working on trying to find a better way for us to get a hold of it,
Right.
rather than waiting for all of this stuff to occur, to get backed up. And then, of course, we have some problems with the aquifer with all of these white goods and these abandoned vehicles and all the hazards that are in there. So I think it's a big task, and I'm trying to break it down so we can try and make some progress there.
When, and with the parks and with the trash in particular, I mean, there seems to be a little bit of conventional wisdom that I'm beginning to feel bubbling up over the last couple of years, and that is that there are a lot of people that just simply, I mean, they don't want to litter. It's just that they got no way to get rid of the trash. I mean, they generate the trash, and they don't have the money to pay for the $30 tipping fee, $32 tipping fee every month, or the solid waste fee every month, and they don't have the money to go to drive up to the transfer station to dump their trash there. So whatever angle, whatever road into the boonies is something convenient for them. I was talking with Angel Sablon, complaining to him about some of the areas that I've been to. You go to the Paseo. As an example, and you go to the Paseo, number one, you can't get into the bathroom, and number two, if you've got trash, there's no place to put it because they took all the trash cans out because everybody was bringing their home trash to Paseo to dump it there.
Yeah, but that's not the solution, right?
No, I recognize it's not. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, is there a problem? Do we need to have some kind of indigent plan or what do they call it?
I think it would be called a lifeline rate.
Yeah.
And there isn't currently a lifeline rate, and I think there might be some opportunity to consider a lifeline rate based on looking at the finances of solid waste and working with that new management and the board. But there's also an enforcement thing, and as I understand it from the mayors and from Guam EPA, that there's a mandate for apartment owners to have commercial haulers pick up trash, and not all of the apartment owners are doing it. And so there's different ways that we can try and enforce that. Apartment owners that are accepting Section 8, so that could be a GURA thing where we make sure that these apartment owners or condo owners have the commercial trash bins on their property as required by law in order to receive the government business. And then there's also some enforcement. I think that as we're seeing with revenue tax, where we start to enforce things, people become compliant. And we're hoping to come up with some good strategies to get more people compliant and to really think outside the box on how we're going to try and resolve this issue. I would say that if the number one attraction of our island is the beauty of our island, and yet our residents are not taking care of it, then we need to really change the paradigm.
I don't disagree with that, and Kevin Kerrigan is waiting for me to bring up the god-awful, but-ugly chain-link fence that every single tourist that leaves the airport area and wants to drive into Tumon at the Kmart intersection has to endure that ugliness. It is well past the time for, I think, a smarter, better-looking solution to preventing the jaywalkers from.
Right?
What's that?
Is that the Kmart intersection you're talking about?
How do you not know the god-awful, but-ugly chain-link fence?
Your top pet peeves.
It is the number one.
Two pet peeves about that intersection I hear about. Number one is that fence, and the second one is from the public auditor, who's very, very concerned about how that is such a high pedestrian area and is concerned about safety. So those are two things that I'll look at. I'll work with Public Works and talk to them about.
I'll give you the solution. I'll give you the solution right now. Would you just take it? We'll take it down, Josh. It'll take me and a couple of guys here in a case of beer. It'll take us a day to take the thing down. Number one, and we just go down there and grind it out. And then what we do is we get these over in front of the airport mobile. There are a bunch of these containers, concrete containers with plants in them. So we'll get a whole bunch of those, and we'll put them on the actual median. and then the kids won't be able to jump over those because they got plants in them, and we'll run them all the way down to where the first gate of John F. Kennedy is. And if somebody gets drunk and plows into them, we'll replace it. We don't have to replace a whole wall. We just replace that one or two concrete planters that we can put out there. We can draw some nice pictures on them. We can a little running mural, and taking us back to DYA, we'll let the kids at DYA maintain a number of these things. And so we'll just put these, we'll just put them all at it, and we'll grow local flowers, and it'll be pretty up and down the roadway instead of that god awful butt ugly chain link fence. Makes it look like there's a prison over there. It's a high school.
Sounds very good. I agree.
Good. What else are we going to do? Come on, lose out of town. What can we do? Come on, me and you, executive order.
No. She actually did ask me to promulgate a bunch of executive orders over the time she's gone, just so that we don't skip any beats as we continue to roll out our plans. So there may be about 2 or 3 that she has talked to me about that our legal team is working on that we'll release over the next few weeks.
Can you give me a hint?
Well, one of them was covered already, where we're going to be taking a look at the government regulatory process.
Yeah.
In particular, not very happy with the amount of time it's taking for building permits, occupancy permits, and the like. So
yeah, I saw that.
We'll be setting up an action group that's going to be working on that. I had an opportunity to talk to a bunch of the engineers, architects, and land surveyors yesterday when we were paying them some honor with a proclamation. And then we'll be doing something on the Ethics Commission to implement that in the next few days as well.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out for the releases on that.
Those will be the 2 big things that the governor has asked me to push while she's out there doing the business of our island.
I notice as I'm looking over the topics that she is not going after the cockfighting ban.
Well, cockfighting, she's been talking a lot. We're working very closely with the governor of the Northern Mariana Islands, and she'll have an opportunity at NGA to speak with the governor of Puerto Rico. And, of course, our 3 jurisdictions are the ones that have this sport as part of our long-standing tradition here.
Yep.
So I know that for sure is on her agenda.
Okay, so there is going to be some movement on this, if for no other reason, just to get all the players together, and then maybe we can have some kind of a unified response, going back to their brothers in Congress, saying, hey, hey, you didn't even check with us.
A lot of people looking at this.
Yeah, good.
And of course, there are people that on the island that are in favor of the ban. And of course, we understand that. But right now, our local statutes provide for that and provide a legal process in which that's regulated.
Hey, yeah. Now we haven't actually done anything with the regulations. As far as I know, there's no licensed cockpits that we've got. There's a mechanism to create them, and they were moving towards getting these guys licensed and driving some revenue in the government when we got hit with that act. There's an interesting section of the opinion column in today's Pacific Daily News says, "Where are the plans to fund fixes for Gov Guam?" The administration hasn't shared its plans for funding any of the promises, so how will it be able to afford the innovative and transforming changes? Where is it planning to get the money to upgrade technology at government agencies and to improve other infrastructure? Please don't say increase taxes.
No, for sure not. And, I think that understanding that, so it's a little complicated, but I'll take the information technology piece out of it. There's different funding sources and opportunities that can be blended, and we have 2 teams working on it. The first team is being led by Ricky Hernandez over at GITA, and what he's looking at is he's looking at the needs on the financial management side of things. And then we have the general government of Guam, and we have Frank Lujan from Bureau of Big Technology and Tyrone from Bureau of Planning coming up with a plan. So when I talk about blended funding streams, there's opportunity for us to get some set-asides from USDA. HHS has some opportunities there that we can use to increase the electronic medical records and payment for Medicaid and Medicare that are also opportunities to basically fund and upgrade
Yeah.
the foundation of the government of Guam's information technology. There's a little bit over $100,000 we already got from Fed funds that will be helpful using to develop some technology for the permitting side. Guam EPA developed a system with support with US EPA for concurrent review for permitting within the land use side. So there's different streams that don't require us to ask for appropriations. In some cases, it will require us to just use money a bit more wiser
and take advantage of what's already out there.
To say that public safety's answer is not, it is going to be additional officers, and a lot of people don't realize that there is a regular stream of officers that retire. Every time a captain in the police department retires, you can promote and probably hire an additional one within that budget cap. So it has to do with using the resources wisely. But on public safety, not everything is additional officers. Part of it is introducing evidence-based practices to reduce recidivism. That entails just doing some programming and corrections and different things. So, I mean, I would say that the answer is not always money, and if you take a look at the report, there are definite opportunities to alter management decisions that will result in better government.
You remind me, I wanted to talk with Tyrone last week. He's got an RFP out for information and technology infrastructure support and management. So I know he's already starting to look for IT technology over at Stats and Plans. I guess the only other issue that you'd have to worry about is once you get all of these systems in place, making sure that they can all talk to each other and speak the same kind of programming language, so that we don't have to go into manual and then back into digital.
So one exciting thing that we're looking at, and we've talked to the heads of the three.
Hey, Josh, wait, hold on, Josh. You know what? I got the news coming up here in a second. Can we ring you back a little bit later?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, all right, groovy. I appreciate that. Acting Governor Josh Tenorio on the line with me this morning, and we touched on a couple of issues that feel like, you know what, there's a little bit more juice in this. We'll get back to the conversation in a little bit. It's 7 a.m. on KUSG, Hagutnya.
Investigating the president. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. The former acting director of the FBI says there were talks about trying to remove President Trump from office in 2017.
In the aftermath of James Comey's firing as head of the FBI, there were serious discussions about using the 25th Amendment to try to remove President Trump from office. Former acting FBI director Andrew McCabe told CBS 60 Minutes the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein brought up the idea.
The Deputy Attorney General was definitely very concerned about the president, about his capacity, and about his intent at that point in time.
McCabe also said Rosenstein was serious when he offered to wear a wire to secretly record the president. Rosenstein has denied McCabe's claims.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. China's government has accused Washington of trying to block its industrial development after Vice President Mike Pence said Chinese tech giant Huawei and other telecom equipment suppliers are a security threat. A foreign ministry spokesman saying today that Beijing would not use its companies to gather information about foreign companies. President Trump's in Miami, where he's scheduled to address the ongoing crisis in Venezuela in about 20 minutes.
The president will be making remarks at Florida International University to show support for Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido and to speak on the dangers of socialism. Guaido has been in a power struggle with Nicolas Maduro, who has maintained the support of the Venezuelan military. The Trump administration, along with 50 other nations, have declared Guaido the rightful president of Venezuela. President Trump says he hasn't ruled out military intervention to resolve the crisis.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. The ecstatic sailor shown kissing a woman in Times Square celebrating the end of World War II has died. George Mendonça was 95. This is Fox News.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-3 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details. Hi, this is Ray Gibson from The Morning Show on 93.3 The Point. And we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary this February. The Point is your news talk headquarters with top news, sports, weather, and traffic, and of course, always a little extra. We want to thank our listeners, fans, and followers for keeping us on our toes and joining us on this journey. The Ray Gibson Show Anniversary Celebration is brought to you by Take Care, Our Island, Your Health Plan.
Trade talks with China continue this week in Washington as the two sides work to reach a deal before billions in tariffs are imposed on Chinese exports next month. New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez is in Belgium reacting to the news that the Trump administration is also looking at new tariffs on European Union goods.
I hope we don't continue down a path to a tariff war.
Menendez says there are barriers to trade, but it's important to work them out. Syrian opposition activists and paramedics say 2 bomb blasts have struck the northwestern city of Idlib, killing at least 10 people. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says the rush-hour blast killed 13 and wounded more than 24 others. The city of Idlib is controlled by an al-Qaeda-linked group. Chicago police want more answers from Empire actor Jussie Smollett over his claims he was the victim of a racist attack.
They want to speak with Smollett surrounding some new details that have come to light. Now, this is after some more questions have surfaced regarding the validity of this alleged attack. 2 brothers from Nigeria were arrested. The 2 men, though, are said to be familiar with Smollett, with at least one of them reportedly working on the set of Empire. That's the show that Smollett stars in. But those men now have since been released, and police didn't file any charges. Now, Smollett's lawyer released a statement saying that Smollett himself has been further victimized by claims that he played somehow a role in this alleged attack.
Former Congressman Anthony Weiner has been released from a federal prison in Massachusetts. The New York Democrat was convicted of having illicit online contact with a 15-year-old North Carolina girl in 2017. He began serving a 21-month prison sentence that November. He's now in a halfway house in New York, where he's expected to stay until May. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegui of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
When your family needs medical care, how often do you find the need to visit multiple clinics? When a child has a serious ailment, do you find yourself meeting a medical provider only to learn you must go somewhere else for testing? At the FHP Health Center, you can find multiple specialties and testing services under one roof. And if your family needs urgent care, FHP is there for you with convenient weekday, evening, and weekend hours. Voted the island's best clinic and Pika's best 2 years in a row. FHP, our island, your clinic. Learn more at fhpguam.com.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero is on her first trip to Washington, D.C. since taking office in January. She left island on Sunday. The governor's agenda will include meetings with Trump administration officials in hopes of finding an administrative resolution for the release of millions of dollars in war reparation checks for the island's World War II survivors. The governor is also scheduled to meet with White House officials about lifting the Homeland Security ban on H-2B workers from the Philippines. She will seek reimbursement as well from the feds for the cost to Guam taxpayers of providing the Earned Income Tax Credit to low-income island residents. The governor plans to also be attending the National Governors Association meeting before heading back home on March 1st. Johnny Lujan Uggan faces 15 years to life in prison after being found guilty by a Superior Court jury of sexually abusing a child for years. The Guam Attorney General's office yesterday said in a statement that the abuse started when the victim was 5 years old and continued through her middle school years. According to court documents, Uggan threatened the girl's mother not to go to the police. The mother instead told her child to report the abuse to a teacher at school. The girl's school alerted authorities, which led to the arrest of Uggan. He was 57 when he was arrested last year and charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct. Prosecuting attorney Christine Tenorio said it's not easy for a child to come forward and disclose years of sexual abuse, especially when adults can be skeptical of the claims. Uggan scheduled to be sentenced on June 13th. We'll have more news after this.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. The attorney for Guam Regional Medical City yesterday called on Superior Court Judge Elise Iriarte to dismiss the request for a restraining order filed by former GRMC CEO Margaret Bengzong. Attorney Todd Thompson told the court that Bengzong's claim must be dismissed because she did not have a contract with GRMC. Bengzong is seeking reinstatement as chief executive officer of the private hospital and a return to the status quo before she was ousted in November until such time as the issue of shareholder ownership is resolved by the Philippine courts. Bengzong's attorney, Philip Torres, acknowledged that there was no contract, but he said that doesn't explain the issue in this case. He said clearly directors have fiduciary duties to each director, and he argued that to remove somebody without giving them proper notice and send them a letter after the fact is not the way to do it. Iriarte took the arguments under advisement and will issue a decision at a later time. Longtime talk radio host John Anderson was posthumously honored with the Ancient Order of the Chamorro yesterday, the highest civilian honor that can be bestowed on a non-native resident of Guam. His wife, Mahi Anderson, and the Anderson family accepted the award during a ceremony at Adelup yesterday afternoon. Mahi recalled some of the sacrifices they made due to Anderson's line of work. After the earthquake in 1993, she said the house was in shambles, but he went on the air just trying to calm people. That's what he liked to do, she said. The Anderson family has created a journalism scholarship to be administered by the University of Guam Endowment Foundation. Anderson died February 1st at Guam Regional Medical City following a long struggle with Parkinson's disease. He was 76 years old. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with some weather.
Let me see if I can call this up here. Partly sunny and breezy with isolated showers. Winds from the northeast, 20 to 25 miles an hour, decreasing just a bit in the evening. Highs around 87 degrees and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6:27, and we'll catch the sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:42. Now we'll take a look at the satellite imagery. Wait a sec. What's it want me to do? I gotta It wants me to enable the Adobe here. Hold on a second. I got to click on this, and then I got to click on that, and then maybe it will pop up for us. So as this ramps up here, just a note: we got winds now 20 to 25 miles an hour. As this system 92W begins to come around here, the consensus, at least among the guys I'm talking to, could be bringing a little bit more wind to us as well.
Yeah, without question, and we heard Mike talk about it earlier.
Yep.
The winds we're getting right now, at this point, you can look forward to this continuing right on through the week, and if this thing starts to strengthen as the models have predicted, winds will start to ramp up probably starting on Thursday, because that's when we'll start getting under some of the outer influence of the low pressure as it's moving in this way. We'll have to see how that all shapes up, but at the very least, yes, this storm system coming in will bring more wind. Right now we're looking at radar, not much going on, just some scattered stuff blowing through, a little wave that's just going through now. It's light to moderate rain, not a big deal. Just watch out. We'll make the roads a little wet.
Yep.
And since we haven't had a lot of rain out there, what happens when the roads get wet with this misty rain is the oil rises right up to the surface of the roads, makes them much more slick. So just be careful out there.
Yes, slick like owl boogers. It's going to be exactly like that. Now, I don't know that I'm going to be able to line up the Guam feed on this, but this is a look at the Western Pacific satellite imagery.
Yeah, what they're looking at right there is pretty interesting. That's actually showing the jet stream coming off the continent. Now, it's starting to take a little more northerly course, going up north of 30 degrees north latitude. So that's all right. That means there'll be less influence as we talk about the pressure gradient, but still, it's in place, and the shear is actually going to help relax some of the wind shear with the jet stream retreating to the north a bit. So that gives this system a better chance of developing a little more stability in its formation. But again, we're talking about a lot of dry air. The water's not that warm. I don't expect much from this. Just a windy weekend.
All right, and so I'm looking at the jet stream here, and I was looking at some of the places where it was going over, and I thought maybe Taiwan might be getting a little bit of extra wind and weather activity up there, but I checked the weather report, and Taiwan's nice.
No, jet stream's 65. At about 40,000 feet, so you don't notice that sort of thing on the ground. No, you won't notice that on the ground. But what happens is up there is where the tops of the thunderstorms will get sheared off. And when that happens, these storms, they can't maintain any sort of convection. And again, it's a especially difficult situation for tropical systems. They need that slower moving air at the upper levels so that they can get their act together and start forming together into that formidable thing that they do.
Yeah, and as you know, we're going to throw a lot of attention at the weather here because it's a holiday back in the States, and so there's nothing to report on the market. But I'll see if I can scare up a couple of things. It's 7:14. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Mark Benventi of Santa Rita, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voice of our community and sharing thoughts and issues that affect us all. It all boils down to our people, our land. Protei Igumama. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
It's a back-to-school kind of Tuesday morning version of the Ray Gibson Show, brought to you by American President Lines. Yes, APL is shipping the future. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. They prove it every day. And Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar.
Real Talk Radio is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's as I said, 3-day weekend for a lot of people in the U.S. mainland. The markets are taking a break here, so we're going to be happy because everything was up yesterday. Dow Jones at 25,883. That's up by 443 points. Nasdaq in the green, and it is unchanged overnight. 74.72 in the S&P 500 at 27.75, and that's where it was over the weekend. So that's where we can expect them to start their trading when it gets to be time to do that tomorrow. 7:16, and taking a look at kind of the broader business information, the business headlines. What have we got out here that's going to be of some kind of an interest? I don't know. And it doesn't look like there's any actual financial news here on CNBC. They're trending stories. Number one, American Airlines flight attendants demand investigation into sexist musical skit. And number one story is about somebody being offended by something. Okay, as usual. And then trending item number 2, this is what happens after the cameras stop rolling on Shark Tank, according to the Sharks. And I've never watched an entire episode of Shark Tank.
No.
Although I have pondered the idea of doing a kind of a Shark Tank episode from time to time, where I'd get people on Guam, just politically polar opposites, and get them into the studio and just throw some red meat in there and watch them fight.
Oh, there you go.
And I might still do that.
I have worked in a virtual Shark Tank for 28 years.
Isn't
So
that-
I
wasn't
don't
that
have
something?
to watch it on TV.
Seattle house where Jeff Bezos started Amazon is now on sale for $1.5 million. That doesn't sound like a lot of money for a house that Jeff Bezos would be living in. I mean, well, he started Amazon there. I guess, $1.5 million. Maybe there is a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? This nostalgia. Maybe there's some kind of collector's itemness that's associated with this. It's looking like a U.S.-China trade deal is near, and Beijing will get everything it wants. That's trending item number 4. Trending item number 5 is interesting in a Jerry Roberts sort of way. According to this self-made millionaire, following your passion is bull something. Do this instead. Now, I just called it up, so I haven't had an actual chance to read it. What the guy says, passion might not bring you financial success. Return on investment and sex appeal are inversely correlated. What do you mean about that? Simply put, don't follow your passion. He said, instead, focus on your talent. Find out what you're good at and then invest 10,000 hours in it and become great at it, according to Galloway. Telling people to follow their passion is popular advice, but Galloway, who is also a marketing professor at New York's Stern School of Business, says don't buy it. People often come to NYU and say, follow your passion.
Doesn't one kind of go in hand with the other, though? Generally speaking, you're going to be pretty good at what your passion is.
Can be, but I've heard people like Mark Cuban say pretty much the same thing that this fellow's saying. You can sit back on your passions for a while,
right,
and try to get things going,
right,
and a lot of opportunities kind of sail right by you.
Right. Well, I mean, like me, radio's my passion. I never did it to get rich, and it's a good thing. But but I enjoy what I do. So I mean, I totally disagree. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for in life.
Well, the passion, and Jerry knows me and my history is, my dad was in radio and television, and I got to be 16, and it didn't look all that hard, and it was inside, and I had his voice, and so they said, okay, well, here's the door, and prove that you belong on the other side, and I've spent the last 40 years trying to prove I'm at least as good as you guys were.
Too bad you didn't get your dad's face. You could have done TV.
That's fact. But I mean, I got into radio when surrounded literally by giants. John Anderson was one of my first bosses. Ed Poppy, who built K-Stereo basically with his hands, and some soldering iron and some resistors he twisted up together. I mean, these were.
That's not exactly true. I got a couple of stories I'm not going to tell about how Ed Poppy got a hold of K-Stereo.
Now, there's some interesting stories, though, but I've been in there when he was doing the engineer work, and I know that he's got a passion for that.
From
and
that
talent.
standpoint,
yes.
absolutely.
And talent. And tall John Anderson, Johnny Gerber.
Right? Yeah.
Joe Cunningham.
Yeah.
Jerry Roberts.
Dave Eckert.
Yes.
All these kind of people.
Dave Angel.
Yeah.
Albert Wan.
Yeah. Anyway, but on the thing about, I won't say anything more about this, but on the thing about K-Stereo, there is a whole book to be written about the thing about K-Stereo, how that got going. It involved the theft of naval property.
What?
Yep.
Okay, Ed's going to call you later on.
It's not Ed.
Somebody
it
else?
wasn't Ed.
Ed didn't steal it.
K-Stereo did not begin as an on-the-air radio station.
No?
K-Stereo began as a channel on the MCS cable system way back when.
That's before Lee Holmes.
Yes, it was. No, Lee Holmes was there.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
But it was a leased cable channel. And from there, they managed to get a loan that got them
an actual
equipment
license
and everything. And it had to do with things that were fabricated and all kinds of stuff, and guys leaving and doing the Chapter 747 thing, at the airport, and all kinds of stuff. There was anyway. At the end, Ed Poppy came out of it smelling like a rose because he was there to kind of catch it as it was falling,
right?
And he became part of a group that was the group that carried forward and then saved the thing. So kudos to Ed because he turned that thing into something. Right?
And it's been something all these years.
Done very well.
Yeah.
But it did not begin with that.
But okay. But as I said, I've watched him and his talent for electronics and his passion for it. He's still a very, very active member of the ham radio community. Still participates in international ham radio contests. So, I mean, he was bitten by the bug, and it's lasted decades. Yeah. 7:22 in the morning, and obviously Jerry Roberts is lurking in the building. One real quick note before I head out and into the extra point. 55.98 is where oil was yesterday. Today, the new number for West Texas crude is $56.46. So up by about 50 cents on the trade there, and the numbers continue to go north. Tapis crude, which is the stuff that goes into our cars as gasoline eventually, is still trading at $68.35. So that's frozen for the last couple of days. Should probably get unstuck either tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday. It's 7:22, and right now time for Jerry. It's double Jerry Roberts Day, by the way. You get 2 times Jerry Roberts. Jerry Roberts here live in the studios of The Point and in the editorial section of the Guam Daily Post, where his work zone column today is "It's okay to say I don't know." You want to read it? Then go find yourself a copy of the Guam Daily Post.
That's it.
That's it. All right.
Or you go online.
And do that. So here's what we've got for you today here in the studios of The Point is Jerry Roberts and the Extra Point, brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes, and Guahan Insurance Services.
The former director of human resources at Netflix reveals a question he likes to use on job applicants. It's one that immediately identifies those candidates you can't wait to hire and others you'll likely pass on. Today, I'll not only give you the question, I'm going to give you how to answer it. That's coming next on The Extra Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
When it comes to job interviews and possible questions a candidate might be asked, there are countless books, videos, websites, and even online courses available to prepare people to perform well and hopefully land a position. In an article written for Fast Company magazine, former Netflix HR executive Greg Silva recently discussed a question he likes to ask because it forces the applicant to think beyond the normal stock answers he or she may have rehearsed, and it reveals work ethic and curiosity, among other things. Here's the question Silva asks. It's your first day on the job, and you have a few hours to kill before your new employee orientation. What would you do with that time? I'm going to repeat it, and I want you to think about the intent of the question. It's your first day on the job, and you have a few hours to kill before your new employee orientation. What would you do with that time? What's he looking for here? Well, I gave a clue a few moments ago. The scenario is that you're already hired, and when you arrive for work on day number 1, you learn there is a mandatory orientation session at, let's say, 11 o'clock. It's now 8 o'clock. What are you going to do until 11? What could happen in that time? You're shown to your desk, cubicle, or other workstation, and there are a few choices I can think of. Number 1, you sit there on social media or texting until somebody gives you directions. Number 2, did I say that was number 2? That's
you
number
got
1.
me in a box.
I'm sorry, man. Number 2, you walk around the department introducing yourself to everybody. And number 3, you seek out your new supervisor and ask, hey, I got 3 hours before the worker orientation, and I want to get productive. What do you have for me to do while I'm waiting for 11 o'clock to roll around? In a job interview, the person asking questions is trying to figure out, among other things, what kind of motor you're hiding. Are you a results-oriented individual who intends to make his or her mark on the company and lead by example from the get-go? Or will you sit back and do the basics? Will you finish the job and sit around doing nothing until the boss finds you and assigns you the next job? If you hear a question like this, answer with option number 3. What I'd do is seek out my supervisor and find out how to get started. You're not hiring me to sit around. I'm sure there's something I can do in those 3 hours to be productive while waiting for the orientation to start. That's the kind of answer that you want to give. It demonstrates your work ethic and unique value you intend to bring to the company. Immediately, it sets you apart from the others. You're putting the interests of the company before your own. And people doing the hiring, they will take notice. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
I don't actually have to do any of that stuff, right? I just got to make it look like that. I just got to find the guy and say, listen, I'm not doing anything for a couple hours. You got anything? Because hopefully he'll say no, and then I can go back to yakking with the hot trophy receptionist.
That's option number 4. But this isn't. Some people would tend to think about this in terms of younger workers. You know who really falls prey to some things like this? The older folks that have been around the block a couple of times in their 50s, maybe even 60s, applying for a job. Yeah. And they walk in there, and they are there banking on their experience, right? And interviewers, if you're in your 50s and 60s, chances are the interviewers are younger than you are.
Right.
Okay. And they don't. They appreciate experience, but they don't want you sitting there giving indication that you're going to sit back, in your desk with your feet up and telling other people to do the work and all that. You've got to go in there with a blend of, yes, I have experience, but I really want to get productive and I want to do more things.
As soon as I possibly can.
Yeah, as soon as I possibly can. So you really want to get in there and get going. If there's a 3-hour gap between your orientation and when you walk in the door, you want to show something.
Yep.
And that's that kind of answer you give.
So keep that in mind. And is your website back up yet? Were you able to get it back up?
Is up. I didn't, but I told them don't put it back up because there are all kinds of malware things out there. Anyway, I did a little work on it this morning. I did not add the last 5 of these, and today is 6. I will do that today. I don't know how long it's going to be up because we're moving it.
You're moving? Oh,
I'm moving to another hosting
provider.
Account. Yeah, and that's going to take a day or two. But right now, I told them, don't put it up. I don't want any more malware. I don't want any more hackers.
Yeah, I wish you good luck. I've done that transition of moving things from one site, one provider to another provider, and it just ends in tears. It'll end in we'll be able to just copy this. Where's Alex? Alex knows how to do this. There's guys around here that you call and you say here's $200. Do this for me and get it done and make it so that it looks exactly the same as it did before when it was on this provider. And sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. Jerry Roberts, and there's today's Extra Point here, and again brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and the guys over at First Hawaiian Bank. Now, before I get into headlines, because I was telling you there's something interesting that I saw in the classifieds, a company that is advertising for you to help so you can kill bed bugs. It's the Harris Bed Bug Killers Kit. Complete treatment systems. You can find it at hardware stores and Home Depot, etc. And so I'd asked a question online of a guy named Ken Williams. Now, Ken's the guy that kills the bugs over at my house, and that I know of, I don't have a problem with bed bugs. How will you know if you do? Well, he sent me a thing. He says, I have a couple of inspections, so I'm not available to chat on the radio. The bed bug facts are, they're about the size of an apple seed, brown in color and flat. They require blood to reproduce. So bed bugs don't get jollies unless they're biting into something like us. They most of our bed bugs come in on the airlines with the luggage, then are transferred to hotels via rental cars, the same car that you might ride in to go to the movies or dinner. So here is the tip that he provides you if you are going to be staying in a hotel anywhere, is the hotels will generally give you a luggage rack. They say use it. It's not, you don't put your luggage and your clothes on the bed. You put everything in the luggage rack, and it's far enough away from where the bugs are. Inspect the linens, the mattress, and the surrounding furniture. On the sheets and pillowcases, look for red or brown colored small stains. If you're bit, you'll get a small itchy welt. Heat is a great way to kill these bugs. They die at about 120 degrees. We use steam at 212 degrees and hair dryers, and then chemicals if necessary. Vacuum or use tape to pick them up. Hope it helps. Have a great day. And yeah, we get about 2 to 3 calls a month for bed bugs on Guam. So somebody's got it, and make sure that you don't get it as well. Helpful advice. That's what we're all about here. It's 7:31 and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. This is Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Dario Gualtieri, a fugitive from Spain who was taken into custody by U.S. Customs last week, arrived on Guam in a sailboat. According to Port Authority of Guam General Manager Rory Respicio, the vessel docked at the Agate Marina for a medical emergency on February 2nd, and Gualtieri was taken into custody last Friday. Gualtieri was convicted of raping a woman he met at a nightclub in Spain back in 2012. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison, but fled Spain before the sentence began. An extradition case has now been filed in the U.S. District Court of Guam to send Gualtieri back to Spain. The sailboat that brought him here to Guam departed on Monday morning. The new general manager of the Guam Solid Waste Authority is scheduled to arrive on island as the chief judge of the District Court of Guam prepares to bring the 11-year receivership over the island's solid waste disposal services to an end. Larry Gast has accepted the offer from the Solid Waste Board. He's expected to start work on March 3rd. Chief Judge Francis Tedinko Gatewood has scheduled a final site visit to the various solid waste facilities on March 6th, followed the next day by a court hearing to talk about the various status reports she's asked for and the anticipated date for the termination of the receivership. Gast is currently the Director of Solid Waste and Mosquito Control for Putnam County in Florida. In a telephone interview from his home in Florida, Gast told the Guam Daily Post that he intends to follow the court's orders to a T. If there's a federal regulation or even a local regulation, he says, that's how you have to do things. That's the way they have to be done, said Gast. The Guam Police Department is asking for help from the community in locating an individual wanted for questioning in a domestic violence complaint. 34-year-old Ulrich Ludwig was last seen at Shirley's restaurant in Tamuning. He was wearing a white T-shirt, brown shorts, and no shoes. Ludwig has black hair parted in the middle. He stands between 5'5" or 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs about 150 to 180 pounds. Anyone with information about his whereabouts asked to call the police dispatch line at 472-8911 or call Guam Crime Stoppers at 477-HELP. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I think so. It's 7:34, and that's iConnect time. Swing by the nearest iConnect or get them online at iConnectGuam.com. Learn about the great packages and plans they've got in place for you in 2019. Need internet, mobile, push to talk? You know, they're the only ones on Guam do push to talk at iConnect.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
It's 7:34. There's the noise that makes me want to grab the traffic gizmo and see if everything is working for you here this morning. A little bit busy in the southbound places, getting into Big Navy, but not slowing you down too much. We've got traffic up and down on Route 4 because it's that time of day. You might imagine we've got some of that working on Route 10 as we're near Father Dueñas, and as you get close to where the University of Guam, and of course the intersection at 10 and 15 as people trying to make their way across and into Route 15. Once you're on 15, should be okay once you get past the utility campus, as I like to refer to it. 8, 10, and 16 look like it's starting to busy up around the school and around the Wendy's area. Traffic coming in from the post office towards Happy Mart, also slowing down. Then you've got traffic moving from Route 8 towards the intersection. A little bit freaky there. Ooh, look at all the red up on the north side of the island. I got a line of traffic that looks like it's starting from about where Prestige Auto is all the way to where Payless is. Loosens up a little bit, and then it'll pick up again, as you might imagine. Up around, the school's up in Jigo, busy up there, busy getting into Anderson Air Force Base, and Route 3 is busy in both directions over by the schools. Watch out for that to get heavy over by the intersection of 1 and 3 in the next couple of minutes. 7:36, must be the rain on the road. Must be that slowing people down. Is that what it is? Watch out for that. Be careful of accidents. Wary of it. 7:36, and that is right now traffic here in The Point.
Helen Keller once said, "Blindness separates us from things, but deafness separates us from people." At Ross Hearing Aids, it's their mission to keep you connected to the moments and the people that matter most in your life. Hearing aid technology has never been better, so schedule your complimentary hearing consultation today. Call Ross Hearing Aids, 637-HEAR, 637-4327. You should hear what you're missing. I love you, Daddy. How's your hearing?
And getting this from Paulie, and look, anytime you've seen a situation down there, you just need to get a word to me. Fast way to do it is WhatsApp 988-5874. Paulie Bloss sent me a thing. It says Corner Market in Mighty. There's an accident there. If you're heading towards the Agana Shopping Center, expect delays as you're moving through there. And I had not yet seen that on my traffic gizmo, but yep, starting to see it now right there at the intersection. So again, watch out for it. Past routes to take the right towards the Agana Shopping Center. Watch out for an accident over at that Corner Market. 7:37 in the morning. Am I back on? Am I back in the radio? It's just me now, right? Again, just keep yakking until it gets to be the top of the hour. Groovy. So I very rarely ever have the opportunity to talk about some of the things that are going on the national scene, but I cannot take my eyes off the Smollett case. Have you heard about that? Jussie Smollett, and for those of you that watch Empire, and I know people that's their show, that's their deal, and we'll DVR it and we'll play it anyway. So he suggested that there was these two guys that assaulted him, poured bleach on him, racial epithets, homosexual epithets, and then they got this rope that they made a noose out of and put it on his head. And so he went to the cops, filed the report, and there were a couple of guys who were actually arrested in the case, and then subsequently released with no charges against them. And now police in Chicago believe that Jussie Smollett paid two guys to orchestrate the assault that had occurred.
Look at this dude. Look at his lips.
What's up? You got to be kidding. You got and everybody. I mean, there was just outrage from everybody and talking about Trump's reality, and they were making a "Make America Great" hats and stuff like that. But come to find out that the whole thing might have been a hoax. Now through people, I believe he has denied that and says, "Wow, that makes it even worse now that you guys are accusing me of some kind of a hoax." But like I said, the cops believe that he orchestrated this.
You know, I'm the conspiratorial type anyway, and it's difficult to come after the fact and say, "Oh, I thought that," but really, when this first came out, I was like, that's odd.
Right?
Something's not quite right about this. Let's see what happens. And sure enough.
And it did. So you got all these people now that are walking backwards that were, first to rush to some kind of a judgment. It was the same thing. Same thing as that little kid in Washington D.C. that everybody was saying, "Oh, look at this disrespectful way that he's treating this old veteran Indian and
just because he's wearing a MAGA.
Yeah, and then that story began to fall apart. How interesting is it these days? 20 away from the top of the hour, 888-8255-888-TALK, and the acting governor of the territory of Guam. It's kind of fun to say that, isn't it? Is it nice to hear acting governor Tenorio?
No, I don't know about nice. It's reality.
Sometimes reality can be nice. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about something really catty, and I'm not going to say it. At any rate, 7:40 in the morning.
Catty.
I
shouldn't be catty in the morning.
There's other people that wanted to be Governor Tenorio.
Oh, okay.
So see now you know what I mean by catty, and I didn't say it until you drew it out of me. You made me go there. And normally in order for him to make me go places, it requires shots. But here we are at 7:40 in the morning. The stuff just falls out of my mouth. At any rate, when we last left off, we were talking about financing ideas in the government of Guam and different ways to use the dollars. And you were getting to a point where we were talking about in important places like the Department DPS, the Department of Public Safety, the police department, the fire department, the Department of Corrections, and different ways that they need to be smarter with dollars. Can you riff on that a little bit more?
Well, and I just wanted to say that even on the public safety front, what the governor and I have done is part of our management style is we operate smaller cabinet meetings. So on a weekly basis, our public safety group meets real quickly. Basically, the purpose is for everybody to get on the same page, see where we can help each other out, but really have a global view on how we're going to add forces and recruit into public safety. And my point for the dollars is that when you start forecasting your personnel, then you'll be able to make some better decisions that can result in increasing the number of people, even if you have a budget cap. It's just really basic management, keeping up with that. That's not to say that there aren't more resources that can be that need to be identified within our current budget cap in other areas that we can try and shift, and we're going through that right now.
Interesting. There's a number of hiring issues. I want to say that I'd seen a report, and there are officers, there are applicants for positions in the Guam Police Department, but they can't even get these guys to the written portion of the test. What are some of the stumbling blocks that you're hearing about, specifically at GPD? But I think we run into a bunch of these in other places in the government where we've got difficult to recruit and retain positions.
Well, I think solutions, for example, are they require the officers, in order to qualify them, to demonstrate that they've taken college English or demonstrate that they have English proficiency. And so one of the things that we directed DOA to do is for those that don't have the college credit, for them to be able to facilitate them taking the test, as opposed to, if you're an applicant, they say, well, you have to show us the test, go to GCC. Where do you go for that? You're not exactly enrolling for a class, So for me, my view is to make things a little bit more efficient in trying to qualify people. And then right now, taking a look, and we're going to be working with Guam Community College to identify all those graduates of Basic Law Enforcement Academy that are not working in law enforcement, to see whether or not they have the muster to go through the qualifications, the psychology test, all the different things that would enable them to be qualified, so we can expand the pool of applicants, not only for police, but for all of the other law enforcement areas. Even at corrections, they have a big problem with retention. That is a very unique job place. Not everybody can be a corrections officer, and I think that they have to, taking a look at where they slot in on the pay scale. They are the lowest paid law enforcement officer, and I'm not so sure whether or not that is something that needs to be taken a look at, because of the high stress and high demands and high requirements for officers even in that realm.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the public's, when you're looking at the criminal justice system as a whole, the more we can do to drop down recidivism means less officers needed there at the most expensive form of punishment, which is in long-term incarceration.
Well, I've got issues. I've got issues with recidivism, because I think there's a revolving door at your old shop over at the judiciary. We've got actual drug dealers that seem to be released on a regular.
It is high. It is high, but what that also means is that you need to. We need to. So corrections started doing some actual correction programming in there just recently. They just started, and in order for you to break it down. You have to have the corrections program. It's not just detention and security. And I have real good insight on that. I'm looking forward to bringing out people from National Institute for Corrections that I brought up before for the courts to try and help arm people that are working in the system to help drive the numbers down and correct the behavior. It's really it's a big endeavor, but we can break it down in parts and we can make some differences.
Well, I was delighted when I talked to Sean Gumatauto a couple of weeks ago. He'd indicated that they've issued now an RFP looking for somebody to provide surveillance equipment to the courts, so that when somebody does leave the court on some kind of a felony release, we can put some kind of satellite location device on them that they cannot remove. I
think it's about time.
Just agree.
I'll just tell you that when I was there, we piloted it 2 years ago. And so I'm glad that the judiciary is taking the step to push it up. They were, and I think that, that's something that in the end, corrections and police need to be a part of, because we're one system, but it works. We had two different providers where we piloted all in different places of the island. So I'm quite familiar with that, and that is the way to go.
Yeah, well, it's always been that way, and I was disappointed when it went away, and we'd been talking a little bit more about it, and as I said, Shawnee indicates that now they are looking and have advertised for this internationally because there are so many other providers out there. You can imagine the technology that you were reviewing a couple of years ago, and juxtapose that with what might be available in 2019. I think
getting cheaper.
Yeah,
more affordable. So
a lot more features.
I commend them for doing that.
Yeah, and so I hope that they can move forward on that. We're talking about the Department of Corrections, and in my mind, conservative, and I pray at the altar of commerce here. Is that an opportunity to? Is there an opportunity there to outsource that for the government and bring in somebody from the private side?
I don't know. I don't support that.
Is it privatization in general, or privatization of a correctional facility?
For prisons, no. I would advise the governor against that. I think that would refer her to a considerable amount of study and concern nationally about these privatized prisons. Maybe I'll get a reading list together and we could maybe talk about that. But I don't.
Well, I think one of the issues that they
minded for privatizing certain things, but prisons for sure I don't.
You're not crazy about that. I recognize that there are some places where they've got some serious issues, and they generally race-based, I think, issues that.
Well, I mean, if you have to, I think the general premise is that if you have to have a certain number of people incarcerated to make your profit, then you start seeing local jurisdictions adopt things to make sure that there's always going to be a population like that. Otherwise, the government fills in the gap. So it's very dangerous to take a look at that. And I just have to say that, what I'd like to see is the prison using screening tools. There's all a bunch of good stuff that can be used to better inform the officers on how we manage people up there and make sure that the whole thing is to try. It's all in the public safety realm, including in detention decisions, right? If you take a look at it, there's a thing called preventative detention. That there's a movement that looks at that steps away from cash flow, but takes a look at the risk level that people have. And as an example, in more affluent communities, for people that are dangerous but are wealthy, they're able to get bail, and in some cases, they shouldn't be out because it's a danger to society.
Well, I suppose.
But I feel that there's so much work that can be done, and I think we're going to do some. I met with Presiding Judge Lamarena the other day, and I think next week we're going to restart some talks to fine-tune and coordinate the efforts of the court and the efforts of corrections and GPD to try and push back and bring down the amount of crime that's happening on the island.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've got a simplistic approach to it, and that is we're slapping guys on the wrist that really need to be behind bars and really need to be punished so that they can relearn a healthy respect for authority like the rest of us have.
Absolutely. I can even get into the way long discussions about this with you.
I know you can. You were at judicial. Let me switch topics real quick. We were trying to get Daphne on the line, but apparently there's a baby being delivered somewhere, and she needs to be close by for that. And one thing, let me just stick this on the Facebook Live here. This is a dashboard shot out of somebody's car going down Macheche Hill, and it looks like it's fairly busy through there as well. Got word from Paulie that the obstacle over at the corner market is done, so you shouldn't have a problem getting into Ganya Shopping Center from Route 8. But anyway, so I want to get Daphne on the line to see how she is doing with filling some of the positions that they need to fill at the Department of Revenue and Taxation. How they're doing with hiring, or have you authorized the move of other people in departments and agencies in the government of Guam to the Department of Rev and Tax so that they can do a better job with collections?
Actually, we meet with them on a weekly basis at the minimum and talk with them sometimes almost daily, actually just doing that, pushing on the staffing and identifying all the areas that she needs to unclog these obstacles in collection. And I think that there's a lot of different stuff that's going on. You might be hearing about people that are coming in because they're getting letters of injunction and things like that. So there definitely is significant enforcement going on. I was in a meeting with the Attorney General yesterday, and he was talking to me about the coordinated efforts on collection and the low-hanging fruit that they're dealing with and the next level for tax collection. So, yes, I would tell you that we are in the process of filling positions at Rev and Tax and definitely making sure that the kinds of people that we're bringing in, it's a combination where there are a few of them that are going to be recalled, that are interested, some experienced, high-performing tax collectors that are now interested in coming back temporarily to work on the task force to help collection. I know that Daphne's started putting daily collection goals, structured the whole business of collection, and I really am expecting some good results as based on this coordinated effort that we have.
Well, should be some big checks coming in. Tomorrow is deadline number 1 for real property tax payments. I'm going to be writing some checks a little bit later, and maybe that'll help smooth things over for the government of Guam over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and just to let you know that Land Management is starting their work with Rev and Tax, dealing with an issue with the condos and apartment buildings, and all of the property numbers that have resulted in the under collection of property tax for those multi.
I recall. Yeah, I recall the issue. I recall the issue from before the election. Josh, yeah, I'm gonna let you run. There's a big story about Payless shoe stores nationwide closing down. I want to find out what's going to be happening here, so I'm going to jump into the conversation with Monty. I appreciate our conversations as usual. One of these days, I got to get you in the studio, and we'll just have this bull session, right?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, buddy. Have a good Tuesday. Acting Governor Tenorio. Got to say that with the official voice. 888-825-888-TALK. You might have heard in the Fox News and in other media the last couple of days that the parent company for Payless shoe stores is pulling the plug on I don't know how many stores nationwide, wondering if that's going to be affecting the one that we've got at Guam Premier Outlets. Their boss is Monty Mesa. Hey, Monty, how you doing?
Hey, good morning and Happy New Year to you, Ray.
Wow, I know it's been a while. I haven't seen you in forever. What you been up to?
Hey, just busy trying to make things happen, both at Tumon Sands at GPO.
Well, Tumon Sands, I run by there frequently, and seems to be I got to dodge the scaffolding with all of the changes that are going on. Before we get to Payless, tell me about some of the things that are going to be working over at Tumon Sands Plaza.
Well, we're getting ready, of course. Red Lobster is under construction, and
what's Red Lobster?
Red Lobster Restaurant.
I'm just kidding.
First and only Red Lobster.
I'm just playing around. All right, so we got Red Lobster's coming. I think people knew about that. That's great. They tell me that we're shifting away from retail and more into food services, that kind of thing.
No.
Fine dining.
Still going to be there, but we're now incorporating additional F&B because that's where most of the people now are shopping and dining, and entertainment are three things that a successful shopping center will be able to continue to survive and sustain its business. So we're converting that right now to fill those three different aspects of a shopping center.
Are you going to be doing it?
Do in GPO.
You going to be doing anything upstairs and on the rooftop?
Well, we're looking at some options, and other entrepreneurs here on Guam that may be interested in doing projects that will be exclusively and very specific for the rooftop at Tumon Sands.
Yeah, because God just always a nice place to run up there, and I just think it'd be a groovy place to have like one of these little trendy outdoor bars, right? Like the kind they have in Singapore at the top of the building. You know which one I'm talking about. It's just you go in there, it's $25 drinks and good-looking people and that kind of thing.
Yes, and we've entertained several interested parties. Nothing yet solidified on that, but it's the positive thing is that we have a lot of local entrepreneurs who are looking at different options and opportunities to bring something to Guam in that kind of fashion.
Okay, now getting to the Payless Shoe Store deal, there's one obviously at GPO, and it's a big store, and I'm in there at least once every couple of weeks, and looking at the running shoes that they've got, and trying to buy the same color socks. I'm one of those guys, Monty. I don't have a lot of time to worry about laundry, so I only buy one color sock. It's black, and it doesn't matter if they get separated and you lose one, then what the heck? It's just throw away one, and then you're back to an even number. At any rate, so Payless Shoe Stores, are they going to shut down the Guam location?
We haven't been officially notified. We are aware of, their plan to file their second bankruptcy reorganization. Hopefully, they will survive that. But at this point, at this point, we have not gotten any official notice in regards to the store at GPO. There's also one at Micronesia Mall.
Right.
But yes, the store at GPO is performing very well, and hopefully it may be lined up with their international division that are still being kept on. So at the moment, though, it is under the realm of the U.S. Retail stores.
Right, but as you say, there's nothing official coming from the management here to give you any indication that you need to start looking for a replacement vendor.
Oh, sure. However, if they do target this store to be closed down, then we have a replacement. We've got a list of stores waiting from the mainland, U.S. brands that are wanting to come to Guam, and we just don't have enough space.
Wait a second. So here's the question: like, who are you talking about? I mean, what fancy, trendy places in the States that I've walked by and shopped at 100 times when I'm in the States? Who wants to come here?
Well, there are other shoe brands as well, and other fashion clothing stores that are still looking at opportunities, and hearing of Guam's successes with some of the U.S. retail stores, such as the Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Guess, that are doing well here on Guam. It's starting to take a lot of notices of other brands looking at opportunities where they can grow, and definitely out in our area is a sign of growth.
Apparently, now, when we start talking about space limitations, obviously there is only the one GPO, there's only the one Micronesia Mall, et cetera. There is a facility down in Tumon that could use some vendors down there. I know it's not yours, but is there a space problem? Are there a lot of businesses that want to come to Guam that just can't find the square footage they need?
Well, and again, in real estate, it's location, location, and almost retailers, when they come to Guam and they look at where the retail core is, Tamuning area, and in our particular location, they want to be in this location.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Next time we talk here, just a note. I've been watching the activities over at DPW, and they're going to want to do some work from over by the carpet store, I think, all the way up to the Archbishop Circle. That's going to affect traffic in and out of the GPO area and that whole kind of retail and food venue. So maybe next time we'll talk about how you guys are going to deal with the impact of that construction.
Sure.
Right on. Monty, good talking to you. We'll see you out there in the world somewhere.
All right. You have a nice day yourself.
I probably will. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG. Hug got you, Monty Mesa, and no official word on the closing of the Payless Shoe Store, but maybe some sales going to be happening soon. Tell you about it when it happens.
Reporting Venezuela's opposition leader, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Trump is in Miami, rallying support for Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido.
Today our hearts are filled with hope because of the determination of millions of everyday Venezuelans, the patriotism of the Venezuelan National Assembly, and the incredible courage of interim President Juan Guaido.
The president speaking to a crowd of Venezuelan expatriates, saying the embattled country's current path towards democracy is irreversible. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro so far refusing to relinquish power, despite dozens of countries recognizing Guaido as the nation's new leader. China's government is accusing the U.S. of trying to block its industrial development by claiming that Chinese telecom gear is a cybersecurity threat. President Trump taking to Twitter to slam former acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe.
Former FBI Acting Director Andrew McCabe in an interview on CBS's 60 Minutes claiming he knows why the president ultimately had him fired from his position.
He made it quite clear that he wanted me gone before I could retire. I believe I was fired because I opened a case against the President of the United States.
In the interview, McCabe said that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein brought up the possibility of invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. The president firing back at McCabe on Twitter, writing, "He was fired for lying, and now his story gets even more deranged."
Fox's John Decker. The International Rescue Committee says more than 60 people have died in recent weeks after making their way out of the last area controlled by ISIS in Syria. The group says exhaustion and malnutrition are the principal causes of deaths. This is Fox News.
Hi, this is Ray Gibson from The Morning Show on 93.3 The Point. And we're celebrating our one-year anniversary this February. The Point is your news talk headquarters with top news, sports, weather, and traffic, and, of course, always a little extra. We want to thank our listeners, fans, and followers for keeping us on our toes and joining us on this journey. The Ray Gibson Show Anniversary Celebration is brought to you by Take Care, our island, your health plan.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic, dill, pickles, and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's, more life happens here.
Britain's parliament issuing a report on social media and fake news.
Some tough words from UK politicians about social media giant Facebook. It was the climax of an 18-month probe into fake news and disinformation on digital sites, especially Facebook, by a committee of parliament here. It said that Facebook's corporate structure is designed to, quote, conceal knowledge and responsibility for specific decisions. It particularly slammed Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg as failing to show leadership and personal responsibility. While he did show up before Congress in a hearing last April, he took a pass on the Parliament's invitation. As for Facebook's reaction, they say they share the committee's concern about false news and election integrity and said it was open to meaningful regulation. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
A vigil held yesterday in Aurora, Illinois, for the 5 people killed in a shooting at their workplace Friday afternoon.
A makeshift memorial with flowers and notes continues to grow outside Aurora's Henry Pratt building. Hundreds gathered there Sunday for a candlelight vigil where a 45-year-old disgruntled employee was being fired when police say he started shooting his illegally obtained .40 caliber handgun, killing 5, including a 21-year-old intern on the first day on the job.
One of us gets hurt, we're all hurt. It's amazing how fast things can happen.
Praying for America. I'm praying for all these families.
All but one of the 5 officers hurt have been released from the hospital. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Alita, Battle Angel was the nation's top movie over the weekend. The sci-fi fantasy taking in just under $28 million to beat the rom-com Isn't It Romantic and the horror sequel Happy Death Day to You. Industry analysts say this past weekend's movie receipts combined to represent the slowest President's Day weekend at the box office in almost 20 years. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
Attention homeowners, MRE solar energy systems now come with battery storage for zero money down. This means that your home will have power even when the island power isn't available, like during power outages or during and after storms. The inconvenience of not having power for your home is a thing of the past. It's solar with battery storage exclusively by Micronesia Renewable Energy. Don't be left in the dark. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Lulian Guerrero is on her first trip to Washington, D.C. since taking office in January. She left island on Sunday. The governor's agenda will include meetings with Trump administration officials in hopes of finding an administrative resolution for the release of millions of dollars in war reparation checks for the island's World War II survivors. The governor is also scheduled to meet with the White House officials about lifting the Homeland Security ban on H-2B workers from the Philippines. She'll also seek reimbursement from the feds for the cost to Guam taxpayers of providing the Earned Income Tax Credit to low-income island residents. Governor plans will be attending the National Governors Association meeting before heading back home on March 1st. The attorney for Guam Regional Medical City yesterday calling on Superior Court Judge Elise Iriarte to dismiss the request for a restraining order filed by former GRMC CEO Margaret Bengzong. Attorney Todd Thompson told the court that Bengzong's claim must be dismissed because she did not have a contract with GRMC. Bengzong is seeking reinstatement as chief executive officer of the private hospital and a return to the status quo before she was ousted in November until such time as the issue of shareholder ownership may be resolved by the Philippine courts. Bengzong's attorney, Philip Torres, acknowledging that there was no contract, but he said that doesn't explain the issue in the case. He said, clearly, directors have fiduciary duties to other directors, and to remove somebody without giving them proper notice and send them a letter after the fact is not the way to do it, he said. Iriarte took the arguments under advisement and will issue a decision at a later time. We'll have more news after this.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Johnny Lujan Uggan faces 15 years to life in prison after being found guilty by a Superior Court jury of sexually abusing a child for years. The Guam Attorney General's office said in a statement that the abuse started when the victim was just 5 years old and continued through her middle school years. According to court documents, Uggan threatened the girl's mother not to go to the police, but the mother told her child to report the abuse to a teacher at school. The girl's school alerted authorities, which led to the arrest of Uggan. He was 57 when he was taken into custody last year and charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct. Prosecuting attorney Christine Tenorio said it's not easy for a child to come forward and disclose years of sexual abuse, especially when adults can be skeptical of the claims. Uggan is scheduled to be sentenced on June 13th. Dario Gualtieri, a fugitive from Spain who was taken into custody by U.S. Customs last week, arrived on Guam in a sailboat. According to Port Authority of Guam GM Rory Respicio, the vessel docked at the Agate Marina for a medical emergency on February 2nd, and Gualtieri was taken into custody last Friday. Gualtieri was convicted of raping a woman he met at a nightclub in Spain in 2012. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison, but fled Spain before the sentence started. An extradition case has now been filed in the U.S. District Court of Guam to send Gualtieri back to Spain. The sailboat that brought him here departed on Monday morning. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with some weather.
I got 8:11 in the morning, and we've been talking about the weather here like it's going to change. It hasn't really. Partly sunny and breezy. Some isolated showers, more today than yesterday. Northeast winds 20 to 25 miles an hour, decreasing just a bit tonight. Highs around 87 degrees, and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. Images that I'm seeing on the roadways indicate that, yeah, it's busy out there, probably because of the wet road conditions. And a note from a teacher friend of mine, they've already done lockout, and a big chunk of the kids are still on the other side of the classroom door.
Yeah, the rain's slowing things down. I think it caught everybody by surprise this morning. It's not so much that it rained, it's just how much it has rained this morning. Had one wave move through in the early morning hours, had another one that's moving through now, and it looks like another one coming on the heels of that one as well. So just little ripples of rain with this trade wind convergence that's sliding on through. Part of it is part of the influence of a developing low-pressure area that's 92W Invest. That's way to the southeast, way out there. Yeah, looking at satellite, you can just start to see the blobage entering the picture far to the bottom right of your screen. You see Guam there. We are in that little trade wind convergence there. We even have a little bit of a surge, some surge energy also coming in through the northern parts of the Marianas. So all of this is basically converging on us, and so we're looking at these showers to continue. And the big story right now, a tropical cyclone formation alert issued on 92W by the JTWC and the JMA, that's the Japan Meteorological Agency, which, by the way, is actually the boss of all of the weather agencies in this region, is now issuing warnings on this system as a tropical depression. So we'll probably see a tropical depression out there sometime in the next 24 to 36 hours, and then the National Hurricane Center and JTWC will also start issuing warnings and tracks and that sort of thing.
Okay, because I haven't seen jack on this thing yet.
Not yet.
I've seen some preliminary stuff that you have posted on your Facebook page with some interesting, if unusual, tracks from some of these other weather guessers that are out there. But anyway, so we'll obviously keep an eye on that one there. And a note for those of you with friends and family in Las Vegas: apparently it snowed again. Apparently there is snow that they woke up to and they're dealing with right now. And there's images of people building snowmen in the desert.
Actually, my old home of Flagstaff, Arizona, up about 7,000 feet, they are expecting feet of snow in the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Well, can I just tell you, the first time I ever saw snow in my life was I was late 20s, early 30s,
Wow.
and visiting aunt and uncle that lived out in Escondido, California.
Okay.
That was Aunt Selma and Uncle Snuffy. Yes, I had Uncle Snuffy, and they had, as most retirees in this little community, they had one of these trailer cars. And so they said, what do you want to do today? And I said, I don't know, let's go to the desert. So we went to the desert, and I thought that was interesting and very, very hot. And then he got on the CB radio and found out there was snow up in Julian. And so we drove up to Julian, my dad and my stepmother and Rebecca and Aunt Selma, Uncle Snuffy, and another guy. There was a guy driving because they were already kind of old and they didn't want to endanger anybody. So they brought in somebody from the neighborhood to do the driving.
Albert.
Yeah, and so we went up to Julian, and I stepped out of the trailer, and it was cold up there, and there was snow on the ground, and I wasn't dressed for any of that nonsense. So after a couple of minutes of throwing snowballs at everybody, it's like, is there someplace where we can go and, I don't know, warm up? And sure enough, in Julian, the place to go then was a VFW.
okay.
And as you can imagine, it was a good little party that we had up there.
You can always count on the VFW.
I didn't want to go outside ever again. 8:15 in the morning, and that's my snow story, and I'm sticking to it. News and weather together right here on The Point.
When your family needs medical care, how often do you find the need to visit multiple clinics? When a child has a serious ailment, do you find yourself meeting a medical provider only to learn you must go somewhere else for testing? At the FHP Health Center, you can find multiple specialties and testing services under one roof. And if your family needs urgent care, FHP is there for you with convenient weekday, evening, and weekend hours. Voted the island's best clinic and Pika's best 2 years in a row. FHP, our island, your clinic. Learn more at fhpguam.com.
Okay, just so you know, there's a thing on Facebook. I got to tell you about this because it's freaky. There's a thing on Facebook, and it looks like it's really well produced and together and everything. And it's asking you about the names of your pets. And I would please do me a favor, if you find that in your Facebook feed, do not put the names of your pets on the thing, because the reason is, I was reminded the other day, I was trying to log into a website, and one of the security questions is, what's the name of your pet? What was the name of your first pet? What's, your name of your favorite pet or something like that? And so you put this up on the Facebook, and they will tie that up with your name and start looking around for accounts that might have that as the security question. So don't ask about your favorite teacher. If you got questions about, hey, what was your favorite school, things like that. Hey, what's your mother's maiden name? Let's play mother's maiden name trivia here on the social media. Do not ever answer any of those questions, or if you do, put amusing and somewhat naughty answers. Okay. Mike's waiting for me to get to this. If your world is full of same old, lame old hamburgers, then hit reset, because Wendy's went and made a whole new world with a new... It's the Made to Crave menu, and it features 3 of my favorite hamburger flavors: peppercorn mushroom melt with mushrooms, barbecue cheeseburger with sweet and smoky barbecue, and then of course there's the Sauce'em bacon cheeseburger that has bacon in it. So fresh bacon, actually, because it's your world now. Wendy's just rocked it. Try the new hamburgers on the Made to Crave menu at Wendy's today.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-63 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Good plan here. Portions of the program brought to you by Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. Security title when you absolutely need confidentiality in your real estate transactions. They know how to keep a secret. American President Lines is shipping the future, and Micronesia Renewable Energy says to me on a regular basis, there's never been a better time to go solar. Click your heels together and get that stuff on your rooftop today. Also brought to you by Take Care Insurance, and thank you very much for participating in the 1 year anniversary of the Ray Gibson Show here on 93.3 The Point.
Getting you back to the talk faster. It's the Ray Gibson Show.
Good God, we've got to help these people. Soda and beers are other commodities flown from Guam to Rota. Right now, a can of soda on Rota costs $1.35. $1.35 for a can of soda.
Just don't drink it.
A case of beer.
So you need to get it.
Hit me with this. Hit me now with this. Don't drink it.
No,
thing.
well, that's beer. But
No.
I'm saying, I mean, like, if you're going to pay $1.35 for anything in a can, it might as well be a beer.
Right?
So does that mean you need to get a quota for a can of soda on Rota?
I'm done.
That was good, Kevin.
I'm done. Our work here is finished.
We're done for the day.
Just go to the network now. We're not going to be able to top that. A case of beer is $39.99. What? In in Rhoda. So apparently they're having Rhoda stores running out of rice, which is the headline in the story that's run on this morning's Mariana's Variety. So Rhoda stores running out of rice. I'm sorry, if I was the guy managing editor, if I was going to be writing the headlines, I would have said beer $40 a case in Rhoda. That would, well, you want to talk about getting my attention? Rotanese don't have rice. This is bad.
Yeah,
$40 for a case of beer. Get out of here.
And no rice.
Right.
You can't even drink your sorrows away because there's no rice, because beer's $40 a gallon.
So there's a bunch of friends of mine that went up to Rhoda because they had the Fiesta again, and that was one of the pictures that I saw in this little thing that they were putting together is almost a pallet of Bud Light.
A pallet?
Yeah.
What is that, like $800
I don't know.
worth of beer?
That doesn't matter. You know what? It's, as long as I'm not paying $40 for 24 beers, yeah. So they I don't know. They figured out how to get all this stuff on a boat and took it up there, probably figuring they weren't going to be able to buy it at a reasonable price when they actually got to Rhoda for the Fiesta. 8:20 in the morning. Time for Sports with me. Sports with me. It's all on you, man, because I got no sports stuff here. We talked about everything that I was going to talk about sports-wise yesterday. So for me, the only other thing that I feel like talking about is trying to make it through the first episode of Umbrella something on
Academy.
Academy
or Society?
Academy. It's Academy. Yeah, I started watching it
Did you
last
watch it?
night. Yeah.
How was it? How's it?
Did you make it to the end? I fell asleep.
I fell asleep.
Yeah,
I fell asleep during the first episode, but it looked pretty good. I was watching episode 3 some this morning as I was getting ready, and
it must have been
bad.
so good. Wow,
So
you didn't sleep long. If you woke up to it still playing, Netflix didn't ask you if you were still watching it.
Oh no, it had stopped and the computer shut down well before that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, what had happened was I went to the gas station to check on something, and I needed to put air in the tire, and I thought, well, let me just go inside and see if they've got some grapefruit shandy in there. And they did have grapefruit shandy in there. And I'm not going to tell you which gas station because I'm probably going to go back later on and get me some grapefruit shandy.
No offense, but real men don't drink shandy.
I don't want to hear it.
I drink blackberry ale.
It's tasty.
So you're not supposed to go on the radio and say all
I
that.
drink blackberry ale, so I'm with you on the shandy.
Turn your men cards in now.
I'm not gay, but my beer is. So I say 8 to 8:22 in the morning. You okay there, buddy? Maybe there is some life in us yet. Don't go to the network just yet. So that was my deal. I'm sitting there. I got a couple of these things in me, and I'm going, oh man, but I wanted to watch the show.
You have them now? You have them in you now?
No, I don't have them in me now. But I had them in me when I hit the
Anybody
button
listening
on it.
would probably
think so, right?
And so I got to rewatch the first episode of it.
Good. Well, tell me how it is, please. I watched Manifest last night.
Oh, did you? Was it all that? It was kind of terrible.
I rewatched the first episode.
But it's an interesting premise, right?
Oh, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. A little bit too predictable. And this is what I'm saying because
do they get preachy in it at all? Are you getting to feel because like all of the television shows, they're not happy unless they're doing some kind of social justice in
something. Yeah. And the thing is with that show is when you watch things on HBO, like I'm watching True Detective right now, or if I'm watching Netflix, it's hard to watch network shows. They can't curse. There's no really anything racy. There's no like violent. You know what I mean? Like it's very unrealistic at times because I guess they have to conform to network.
Which is why nobody's watching network television anymore. I mean, the numbers drop off drastically.
Because you can't go from watching True Detective on HBO to Manifest on NBC.
True Detective is so good.
Yes. So 2 more episodes left. I can't wait. Who did it?
All right. I don't.
Wait, today's 2. We got a new episode. We got 1 episode left. I forgot that there was a new episode that came out yesterday.
April 14th.
What's that?
Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, it comes out.
It's the thing that I've got in my head. All right, so anyway, I imagine there might be something like sports that's taking place.
There is. I got this. 3 straight. The St. Paul Warriors. This is local stuff. I did mention this. If you remember the I don't remember what the Asian Christian Schools Conference Girls Basketball Tournament. That is the name of the tournament where the St. Paul Christian Lady Warriors have been playing. Now, if you remember, I reported on day 1 of the tournament, they lost to Faith Academy 48-47, heartbreaker of a win. But no fret, Warrior fans, because they got revenge. For the third year in a row, they win big, 70-28 over Faith Academy in Manila. Do the St. Paul Warriors. They come home champions yet again of the Asian Christian Schools Conference Girls Basketball Tournament, third year in a row. So shout out to them because that is not easy to do. And I believe that's their 2 years champions here in the IIAAG. So big deal for the St. Paul Lady Warriors. And then I also wanted to say this. I meant to, this was on my list yesterday, and I meant to ask you about this. Did you see who won the, let's see here, did you, who was the overall female winner on the at the Halfa Marathon?
Manami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manami. I couldn't believe. Well, actually, I didn't notice it because she's gotten married, so her last name
Martin.
Yeah, it's Martin. So it said Martin. It said Mendel and Martin. I'm like, Martin. Who is Martin? But then I looked, oh, it's Manami. But yeah, with an hour, 25 minutes, 56 seconds, she takes female overall. And Derek Mendel, of course, no surprise. He is an hour, 12 minutes, 8 seconds. And then your buddy.
And then Ryan just pops in, right? They were apparently at it all the way through the course.
Derek came in I'm sorry, I keep saying 1 minute. An hour, 12 minutes, 8 seconds. Ryan finished an hour, 13 minutes flat.
Yeah.
So he was whatever, I mean, I guess 54 seconds away or whatever it is.
I think it sounds cooler if you say they finished in a minute.
It's better. A half marathon.
13 miles.
1 minute, 12 seconds.
So there's a couple of interesting gigs that we've got coming up in the next little bit. There's going to be Gate to Gate. I don't have the dates on this stuff. I'm not ready. School ready for it. But there's going to be Gate to Gate, which is coming up. But there's a great training opportunity. It's technically not a race. As much as it is kind of an organized run. I don't think there's anybody that will have an official clock up for the thing. And we'll start at Big Navy in the parking lot there with the big submarine and the infusion, and then we will go north and finish at the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base.
Is this the one where you get to take the sticks and throw them at the other runner's legs?
Yes, this is the very one. Yeah, because like I said, it's not technically a race, and so yeah, you can do the whatever. It's almost guerrilla. It's Australian rules running. Nice. So we got that that's going to be taking place, and all of it, kind of leads up to the Guam International Marathon. And I'm something like an ambassador or an influencer for that. So a reminder, influencer.
I learned that when I watched the Fire Fest documentary.
So the idea is I'm supposed to have a lot of friends in the running community, and I'm supposed to encourage every single one of them to sign up for the Guam International Marathon. You don't have to run the marathon. I will. But if you're faster than me, I don't want you running the marathon. Stay with the 10K, do the half marathon, do the 5K. If you're faster than me, just give me a chance, me. Want to finish top 3 in my division.
And it's coming up very soon, right? We say like the Easter weekend after Easter, something like that.
I've got the dates in my head, and I'm freaked out about it. So,
you a Star Wars fan? Switch gears on you a little bit. You're a Star Wars fan? We got Star Wars fans out there listening? Because this actually has to do with sports.
Yeah, we have Star Wars fans listening. I know, as a matter of record, Ray and I are more Trek guys.
Yeah, it's just, I lost the string on Star Wars a couple of movies back.
Me too. Too many. Yeah. Too many. The world of Star Wars, however, could be on its way to invading the Olympic Games because this week, yesterday, the French Fencing Federation.
Boy, we're reaching for sports stuff now, aren't we?
Officially recognized lightsaber dueling as a competitive sport. I'm on SportsIllustrated.com with this.
The entire planet's upside down.
Jesus Day.
Yeah, that's where we get the sound effect from. 8:28 in the morning. Yeah, it's just kind of freaky where things are actually headed these days. I was listening to Leo Laporte on the radio yesterday, and he was reporting, and we talked about this when it was actually happening, and the trend of the Pokemon Go. Right, you get the app on your phone, and then you walk around like a zombie, and you you're looking at your phone.
Very safe.
And I got into it because I wanted to see if there was anything to it. I wanted to see if what's the next big deal, and it came and went, and it came again because I'm seeing again more of these same zombie looking like hipsters walking around looking at their phones, and they get really excited, and then they kind of gather up in one place and are doing Pokemon Go type stuff.
Yeah.
According to Leo Laporte now, that's going to get to be an even bigger deal because they're coming out with a Pokemon Go type game featuring Hogwarts, right? Howard Potter.
They've actually got
Howard
another
Potter.
one. They got another one coming out with zombies.
With zombies. Oh, no, that one's already been out, but I don't.
Yeah.
But the zombies, yeah, they're popular, but it's not Hogwarts.
No.
It's not Strange and they've got that whole universe of for the Harry Potter fans, and they're imagine the zealousness of a Harry Potter fan that's going to want to go out and play this game. These are people. You'll remember when they come out with a Harry Potter book, they'd stay up. They'd camp out at the bookstore at the mall.
Yeah. I mean, for
we
every
know these
book,
people.
very well. I knew a friend who I knew a friend. And I actually talked to her last night. And she's one of my best friends from Texas. I haven't talked to her in many, many months, but I talked to her last night, and I reminded her. I go, remember that time I invited you out our senior year to a party? I go, that's how cool you are. You turned me down to a party in our senior year of high school to read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Yep.
And she's going to try to tell me she's cool.
So just imagine that there are going to be just all of these Harry Potter nerds floating around looking at their phones, and it's going to be everywhere.
You know, I always have a thing for famous people. I always want to meet famous people I never get to, but it always seems that people who don't care about famous people get to meet them. And I'm that way with Harry Potter. Like, I went to Universal Studios in Osaka. There's a Harry Potter world. I just kind of wandered in there. I was like, oh yeah, this is all right. And people were like, well, you were there, and I was like, yeah. I mean, I guess it was all right. I had some butter beer or whatever.
Holy Grail place.
Yeah, I walked around it. So, and I could tell you,
it's like Catholics going to Medjugorje.
Yes, there was not a person that it could have underappreciated it more. I just walked. I was like, oh, this whatever. What is this big red? Like, what's this beer we're drinking? There's not even alcohol in it. Be like, it's butter beer. It's bitter beer.
No, you're not. The two of us are together.
But yeah, I was walking around. I was like, oh, they were like, oh my God, you were there. How was it? I was like, it was okay, I guess. I don't know.
Here's
fake snow.
This just if let me just turn the knife a little bit more. I've never made it all the way through a Harry Potter movie.
I don't know anything about it.
I
know he's a wizard.
The thing where they eat those little chocolate frogs on the train, that's usually as far as I get.
I haven't even got that far. I know he's a wizard who wears a scarf, and he's got a lightning scar like I do on my forehead.
So then you get all these people that just get all out of shape and get their jollies with thinking about Hermione in a bikini. I'm sorry, not that guy.
I think that's my cousin, Emma Watson, right?
We know who they are. 8:30. Well, you'll be able to see them soon. We'll let you know when it's download ready. It's 8:31, and we almost got some sports in there today. We'll try again tomorrow on the Wednesday version of the show. Headlines with Kevin Kerrigan is on the way.
Always here to help you. This island is our home. Through the years, we've been a friend to the neighbors we have known. Now we're banking on the future. More services to choose. Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
What could it be? Let me think now. It's 8:32 in the morning. Thank you, Blake Watson, Star 101. He's going to go finish the morning show over there. I'm going to work on finishing the morning show over here on this radio station. And he is all done with his news guy duties for the radio station today. Kevin Kerrigan's going to go back to work and do some news stuff with the Guam Daily Post for the rest of the day. And I got to say, interesting article that you wrote with the new guy over at GSWA.
Yes.
He sounds like he's going to be a good fit.
He's looking forward to being here.
Yeah, likes the outdoors, certified diver.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's in. Once we figure out the transition, and I'm glad to hear we got a guy that wants to actually follow the rules as have been prescribed by the lady over at the court, and we'll see how it plays out, how they work and play well in this transitional period. 8:33 now. Headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Kevin Kerrigan.
Afternoon and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning: the new general manager of the Guam Solid Waste Authority scheduled to arrive on Guam just as the chief judge of the District Court of Guam prepares to bring the 11-year receivership over the island's solid waste disposal services to an end. Larry Gast has accepted the offer from the Solid Waste Board. He's expected to start work on March 3rd. Chief Judge Francis Tedinko Gatewood has scheduled a final site visit to the various solid waste facilities on March 6th, followed by a court hearing the next day to discuss the various status reports and the anticipated date for the termination of that receivership. Gast is currently the Director of Solid Waste and Mosquito Control for Putnam County in the state of Florida. In a telephone interview from His Florida home gas told the Guam Daily Post he intends to follow the court's orders to a T. If there is a federal regulation or even a local regulation that says this is how you have to do things, he said that's the way they have to be done. Longtime talk radio host John Anderson posthumously honored with the Ancient Order of the Chamorro yesterday, the highest civilian honor that can be bestowed on a non-native resident of Guam. His wife, Mahi Anderson, and the Anderson family accepted the award during a ceremony at Adelu Monday afternoon. Mahi recalled some of the sacrifices that the family made due to Anderson's line of work. She said he was so into his work that when it was conditioned to, he says, okay, you're going to be left alone. I'm going to the station. The Anderson family has created a journalism scholarship to be administered by the University of Guam Endowment Foundation. Anderson died February 1st at Guam Regional Medical City following a long struggle with Parkinson's disease. He was 76 years old. The Guam Police Department is asking for help from the community in locating an individual wanted for questioning in a domestic violent complaint. 34-year-old Ulrich Ludwig was last seen at Shirley's restaurant in Tamuning. He was wearing a white T-shirt, brown shorts, and no shoes. Ludwig has black hair parted in the middle. He stands between 5'5" or 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs between 150 and 180 pounds. Anyone with information about his whereabouts is asked to call the police dispatch line at 472-8911 or call Guam Crime Stoppers at 477-HELP. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Thanks, Kevin. It's 8:36, and that's iConnect time. 888-8888 is their telephone number, and they want to talk to you. They want to talk to you about plans and things they've got for 2019. Going to save you some money. What do we got? Push to Talk. They're the only guys on Guam that do that, and they got Push to Talk, and they got mobile, and they got internet plans at iConnect.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
8:37, maybe some wet roadways contributing to slower traffic right now. 8:37, and usually the traffic is beginning to subside a little bit, but I'm looking at some spots right now in the traffic gizmo that lead me to think that no, there's still a little bit of work to be done on the roadways. Expect some slowing down coming down Machechi in both directions over by that intersection over there, intersection of 16 and 27 at the, where's that going to be at? Kosciuszko side. Looks like that's starting to build up once again. 8, 10, and 16, for the most part, it's clear, except traffic coming in from the post office area towards Happy Mart, a little bit busier. And then when we start getting to where Home Depot is, the intersection of Route 10A and Marine Corps Drive, it's slow going in trying to turn into both directions. You might also see some traffic starting to build up as you make your way towards the 76 Circle K intersection at EPAL Road. Looks a little bit clear on the intersection by ITC building, so that's all right. Route 8 getting into the downtown Agutya area, shouldn't see any problems past the major intersections there. Over at the intersection of 4, how do I want to say this? Over by the courtroom intersection, you might see some traffic moving slow, but that's. I don't think there's an accident. Probably A, lots of cars, and B, that's a stupid light. I've never been a fan of that intersection. And watch out for a little bit of traffic starting to build up around Navy Hospital. It's 8:38. That's right now traffic into Point.
Make the good things last longer. Get 3 more days for free on our 3-day prepaid rate plan. That's 6 days of unlimited local calls, SMS, and 1 gig of 4G LTE data per day for just $7.95. Text HS3 to 3282 from your Docomo Pacific prepaid phone to sign up today. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
interesting conversation, and I don't know if I want to get into. You know, I'm a technology guy, right? I like my tech, I like my toys, I like things that need to get recharged. Even though I have this panic in me, like today I'm not wearing my iWatch today. Today I'm wearing my Garmin watch. You know why? Because the Garmin has a charge on it. The Garmin has a charge on it. The Apple Watch was at 30%, and I thought, well, I don't want to take a watch out that's only got 30% on it. I don't know how much of the day that I'm going to have between now and putting it in the recharge pod. So that's that's kind of the downer of technology is you got this really cool tech and it relies on batteries. Oh, I'll get some later. I'll get some. There's donuts. The guys from Exchanged are outside. Reese and Edone are outside, and they've got donuts. Save Uncle Ray some donuts if you don't mind. But the technology conversation that I'm actually thinking about right now has to do with chips. Many of you have dogs and cats maybe that have got a chip embedded inside of them, right? And what's the theory? So you got the chip in there, and if somebody steals the dog, and the dog goes like at Wise Owl, for example, if you take a dog to Wise Owl, he'll be able to scan the dog and find out the dog's name and who the owners are and that kind of thing. So if you find one of those things, be on the lookout for the actual chip or something that they've got in there. And there are some technology guys out there, technology pundits, that are saying that it's just a matter of time until human beings are chipped. I'll repeat that. They think it's just a matter of time before human beings are chipped. There are already places where they're doing it. Right now, there's a shop, a Wisconsin firm, is embedding microchips in employees. And they're saying, well, you know what? The reason why we want to do this is because we're tired of, the process of taking pictures and then issuing company badges. And then you got all the logons that you need to do on the computers and the technology that they've got there. And, even something like timing in. Right, we'll time in. So instead of going to some place, and we've got an automated system here for timing, and I've worked in a couple of places where it was more than just a piece of paper going into the punch clock. Right, I've worked in places where there was a scanner. Where you came in and the scanner would read a barcode on your company badge, and that's what you used to log in to time into the office. And that technology has its ups and downs. We've got technology around here. In this shop now, when you time in, you put your hand on a thing, and it will read your fingerprints and say, "Oh, that's Michael Knight.
Yeah,
welcome to work, Mike."
Yeah,
and it gives you a number based on, I think, how much of the handprint it was able to recognize, right? Mm-hmm. Or that's how long you have to live in weeks. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, the number goes up and down, so I have no idea what it is.
From one day to the next, from chime in to chime out. But it's certainly not perfect technology. So what they're saying is now we'll go ahead and just embed a chip into Michael Knight.
No, they won't.
And then when Michael Knight needs to time in, he'll just wand his hand over the time in gizmo, and that's how that's going to work.
There are so many more non-invasive ways of being able to identify people. Retinal scans is one. Mm-hmm. The retinal scans are foolproof. You got to dig somebody's eye out, basically, to fool one of those. I will never get a chip put in me. Not because, and you got two different schools of thought, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got the religious ones who are like, oh, no, that's the mark of the beast.
And that's
the mark of the beast.
There are religious groups that are targeted. I was telling you about that Wisconsin firm. They're targeting them. They're going online and giving them one-star reviews and things like that because they believe that it's run by the actual devil who is stooped to putting electronic devices into the bodies.
Yeah, for me, I don't really care anything about that. I just don't want foreign bodies in my body.
In the body, right.
That's just real simple.
Yeah. And then there's the whole Big Brother thing. Mm-hmm. And so just how much tracking do you want to get? And how these RFID things like that. Oh, no, I get it. I've turned off on phones location features.
Yeah.
Right, but there are you get so many different nags from so many different apps. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to do this, but in order to better serve you, we need to have your location features on.
Right.
And so I'm like, And that's where they're going to win. That's where the technology devil is going to win, because they're going to make it so irresistible. I was talking about that Pokemon Go with the guy with the Howard Potter on it.
Right.
And so they're going to make it so the only way that you can play that game is to have all of your location turned on. So now we know who you are. We know where you've been. We know places that you've lingered in order to play these games. And it'll all turn into a one of these deals where that's what it's going to be. They're going to say, they're going to go to that guy Monty I was talking to. They're going to go to Monty Mesa and say, hey, Monty, we've got this new Harry Potter game that people can play on the phones. How many drops do you want at GPO? How many locations do you want where people are going to be able to get the rare character, the rare bird, or whatever it is at Guam Premier Outlets? And Monty will say, how many can I get? Right? Because that means that I got people walking around. The only thing is, you just got to make sure that they're walking around and buying stuff. Kaz Endo, no. No, Kaz. You may not. Kaz thinks rectal scans are next. You were talking about retinal scans? I think he heard rectal.
I already had a doctor do one of those.
Oh, please don't make me get started on that conversation again. Yeah, I've had the procedure a couple of times in my life as well, and I had it in the Philippines. I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he was because he's got to go back to the Philippines and go for another one of these executive physicals, and that includes the fun ride that is the
visual,
yeah. With the pipe and the camera on it. Nice. Anyway, so he. Nice. And I said, they're not so bad. He says, really? Who do you go see? I said, I'm at Medical City or St. Luke's. Either one of them will be happy to do it. He says, yeah. I said, yeah, they'll put me under, and then they'll do the procedure. I wake up in the recovery room, and he looks at me and says, they put you under?
Hey.
Yeah, they put you under, and no extra charge. All you got to do is ask for it, and they'll be more than happy to put you to sleep for the duration of the examination, if you will. Otherwise,
he must have been one of the first patients when it was still experimental.
I'm sorry, but I believe that if you wanted to go in that direction, Kaz, you probably could, because I'm almost positive that it's like fingerprints, right? That particular area of the body. Look at my fingers. Look at what I did with my fingers. That particular area of the body it's unique to the individual. Maybe we should go to the network. So now Richard's chimed in. Says for GovGuam employees. Now wait a second. Now which were we talking about? Were we talking about the chips, the retinal scan, or Kazendo's rectal scans? Which one were we talking about? It's a very uncomfortable conversation. My buddy Mark's on the line talking about medical checkups. Dude.
Yeah, I had it done a couple years ago, the first time, and yeah, they put you under. But the funny thing was my wife got hers the day before, and then I got mine, and when they came out with mine, they gave me this folder, and it had the pictures, and I was like, oh wow, cool. and then I asked her, I said, hey, can I post this on Facebook? And she's like, you better not.
I love the technology. They told me that there was the possibility, the first time I went for one of these, they told me that there was a possibility that I might wake up in the middle of the procedure. And sure enough, the first time I woke up, but I was still kind of under. I woke up because the doctor was singing, and it was a happy song that he was singing, and the singing woke me up, and I looked up at the monitor, and there was something looking like it came out of the Discovery Channel, and I said, is that my insides? And the doctor says, it sure is, Mr. Gibson, and I want you to go back to sleep now, okay? And I said, okay, and closed my eyes, and the next time I opened them, I was in the recovery room.
Yeah, but it's so weird when you get other procedures, you feel tired afterwards, but with the whatever anesthesia they use there, you wake up, because I woke up and I had to basically fly to my LASIK appointment, which, so I was wide awake as soon as Joanne said, honey,
we got to go.
It's 3 o'clock. And I'm like, what? And I just jumped and flew right out of that chair. We caught a cab and flew up to Makati for the
LASIK. Yeah, so Dr. Arroyo's clinic, right?
Yeah, but he's retired now. It was
well, he announced his retirement to me a few years ago, and he wanted to run for Congress or something like that. Interesting, though, is, as we develop a little bit more of our, our medical procedures and our medical capabilities here on Guam, almost don't need to. In fact, I think the only reason why the insurance companies want to send me to Manila now for the procedures is it's still actually cheaper to get it done in the Philippines than it is to get done here.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there's no reason why we can't do any of that stuff around here, other than the exorbitant price of the doctors and the facilities and all of that stuff, versus the cost, relatively lower cost in the Philippines. The next thing, though, and Shelley and I were talking about this last night. The next thing I'm going to go to for the Philippines is I'm going to find someplace where I bit into an olive seed a few years back and lost a tooth. And it's one of my good steak chewing teeth, and so I want to get it replaced. And everybody I want to talk to around here is $75 just to sit in a chair. And so I'm thinking maybe I'll find a dentist in the Philippines. Shelley said she found a good one. Might be able to do a procedure like that for about $300.
Good.
Right?
Cool.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes. 10 away from the top of the hour. Mutkus, I'll see you pretty soon. Again, thank you very much for your 25,000-mile contribution to Make-A-Wish. That was nice.
All right. You're welcome. You're very welcome to you and Louise and Eric and everybody else on the board. Take care.
That's always fun. I'll see you pretty soon. 888-8255-888-TALK is the telephone number to the radio station. And so you get that story about the technology and the invasive technology. I'm with Mike. There's a number of grounds for which I would be uncomfortable with, and I think just the insertion of a foreign body into my body that's not a filling, that's not a replacement tooth or something like that. I think maybe no, I don't like that one. But our kids are going to grow up in a different world. Our grandchildren are going to grow up in a different world, and it might be one of those things where they will tie these scanning chips. They'll apply this kind of technology to your bank account. Right.
Oh, that's.
And then they'll say we need to do this for privacy. We need to do this so we don't have people stealing identities and nonsense like that. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this chip in here, and it's going to be attached to all of your checking and your savings or your global account, as it were. And just everywhere you go, when you need to pay for something, you'll just wand over it. Near field connection over the cash register, and the transaction will go just like that.
I will be homeless first.
It would be we'll probably be dead is what's going to happen. I don't anticipate that that's going to happen anytime soon. But you realize that the technology is not that far out of reach.
Yeah, it's already there.
It's really just apparating away. 8:52 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. There are other items on the table of contents. I haven't really gotten into a whole lot to get angry and upset about. Although the Route 8. And I read a tweet from my friend Josie yesterday who said, it's making this comparison. Now, you might think that it's an unfair comparison, or you might nod your head and say, you know what, Josie, you're absolutely right, Josie for governor. But she says it's just remarkable how you've got some of these numbered, routed roads on Guam and not a lot by way of streetlights up and down some of these routed roads. And I haven't done it. I might do it later. Drive through that area of Route 8. I normally take the back roads, but I might drive up and down Route 8 around Quang Hoa. And behind Quang Hoa, there's a number of apartments. And across the street from Quang Hoa is a place used to be the old American Bakery, if I remember correctly. And there's a couple of places there that have converted now into mom and pop stores. So you get the people that live on the Quang Hoa side, and they go, I'm out of bread, milk, eggs, and beer. So let's walk across the street there to the store and go and get bread, milk, eggs, and beer.
Right.
If you go all the way to the end, I want to say, over by where near to where the Payless supermarket is, or the Payless supermarket used to be, J&G used to be, I think there's a crosswalk there. But who's going to want to walk a couple of 100 yards when you can run across the 60-foot road?
Yeah.
And the answer is nobody. And so there are a lot of people daily taking their chances as they cross that road. And obviously you feel bad when you get into these hit and run situations. And all of the facts are not in yet on this case, but it is possible that this 50-year-old guy might have been walking across the street trying to get to the store from the Kwong side and got clipped by a car. And it's dark there, and there's no pedestrian markings, and there's no pedestrian signs. And you know, is it his fault? Do we want to apply a fault? Do we want to point a finger and say, well, you should not have been there? But being thirsty for beer and bread and milk and eggs shouldn't be a death sentence.
No, but you've got to cross. Look, you got to cross the street. It's a busy street, even at that time of night, because they go fast.
Oh, yeah. Well,
regardless
like I said,
of the
it's a routed
lights or
road.
anything else, you're not supposed to jaywalk because you can get killed if you jaywalk. Now, the simple solution to this is for DPW to simply put up a pedestrian crossing at that point. You just paint some little lines on a road. You put lights both ways facing out. The pedestrians can go up. They can hit a little button. The light will flash yellow, and that tells cars coming, hey, someone's going to cross the street. It won't give them right of way, but it will at least provide some sort of alert for drivers coming on that somebody may be crossing a road. And it's actually helped in other places where they've put those in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got the little lights on the road over in front of DFS, in between Outrigger and DFS.
Right.
And I'm frankly still getting used to that. They used to have something like that, a flashy mechanism up over by the Iglesia de Cristo church up on Route 16. Because there was somebody that was crossing the road at night, and he got clipped by a car going 75 miles an hour up and down that road.
It's really the only legal solution that you have, because if you want to allow people to cross there, then you need to give them a legal crosswalk.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, and the fact that the road is what it is and it's not well lit, you got to put those signals there so that the drivers can actually see that there may be somebody walking. And of course, in addition to that, let's put some lights on the road.
Yeah, well, obviously more lights. Lynn Polino on the line. Have you seen how those pedestrians cross the roads there anyway? I've come across many that really just casually walk across with no regard for the cars crossing, no sense of urgency at all. You know what? I've seen the same thing. I've seen the saunter. And I'll make this other point here. I've seen during the day, because you don't see them at night. You don't see him at night. Mayor Rudy Paco in the Village makes a couple of really, really good points, and he's got some suggestions, and I hope that somebody starts looking at that and maybe follows some of these suggestions. And there needs to be an education campaign. Somebody has got to write up a whole bunch of flyers in a variety of different languages, I think primarily in the Micronesian tongues, and start plastering them with little door hangers and take them out to the little village back there and say, this is what you need to, you need to use the crosswalk here. You need to use the crosswalk. Is also talking about agencies dealing with road safety should educate the community on being a safe pedestrian. Drivers need to follow the speed limits and drive defensively, especially in areas where they know there are going to be pedestrians. Yeah. Oh, so put it on the drivers. Pedestrians need to make sure they're being safe on the roads. They need to cross at the crosswalks and stay on the shoulders or the sidewalks if there are sidewalks. Paco also noted that people should wear light-colored clothing so it's easier to be seen, especially at night. I will run at night or in the early morning from time to time, and most of the time I have a little blinky light on me. The rest of the time I take off my shirt and hope that my well, I got a tan, but it
doesn't
ain't,
help
it ain't the
anymore.
darkest tan.
No, you could have done that a year ago, not now.
Yeah, a year ago when I was pasty white, that would have made a difference. And the mayor said alcohol abuse also lends to the problem, pointing out that there are people who, quote, just lie down on the road. You're absolutely right. Yes. Yeah, that is the ticket right there. And maybe that should have been the first thing, because I don't know that sober people would be running across the street in the middle of the night to get clipped by a car. There are ample numbers of people listening to the broadcast right now. I'm sure you're sitting there going, "Yep, I've seen people laying down on the roadways, and and you have to stop." You see, I have told you this many times. You know, sometimes it's the early morning rant. Is tell people get off the roads in the middle of the night because nobody can see you. There's somebody else. We're I'm sure getting pretty close to a time where it's just a matter of time before a Korean tourist is killed walking from the intersection of 10A and Marine Corps Drive up to or towards the airport. And that will happen. You get these guys, I don't know, there's a B&B around here somewhere, and you get these guys walking out in the middle of the night with their luggage, and they're not wearing bright clothes. There's nothing by way of a shoulder through a big chunk of that area, and not a whole lot of lights either. Just a matter of time, guys. Somebody got to do something about that. We'll bug the governor about it. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. No, not even close. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. This is KUSG Agutnia. My name is Ray Gibson. It's time for Fox News.
Denouncing socialism. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump in Miami, Florida, calling on Venezuela's disputed leader to step aside. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, the president told Venezuelan Americans that Venezuela's interim leader, Juan Guaido, has strong U.S. support and that the socialist regime of Nicolas Maduro has left the country's citizens in poverty and politically persecuted.
They are turning the page on socialism, turning the page on dictatorship, and there will be no going back.
The president warned Maduro and his backers not to block humanitarian aid and threatened Guaido or his supporters. He said if that happens, all options for retaliation are open. Lisa.
Gernal, before the president spoke, a man with a banner and an American flag climbed on a construction crane at Florida International University to make a statement about a Cuban political prisoner. He faces multiple charges, including trespassing. A deadly shooting at a home in western Michigan.
I can confirm we do have 4 deceased on the scene. We don't believe there's anybody outstanding that we're looking for at this point.
Kent County Sheriff Michelle La Jolla Young, who says the victims were discovered near Cedar Springs, about 30 miles north of Grand Rapids. She says children were shot, but did not say how many of the victims were children. The investigation continues into the purported attack on Empire star Jussie Smollett.
Chicago police say they no longer consider Smollett to be a victim of a hate crime. They want a follow-up interview with him, but Smollett's team says not today. Just a short time ago, a statement was released from his crisis PR team, reading as follows. There are no plans for Smollett to meet with Chicago police today. Any news reports suggesting otherwise are inaccurate. Smollett's attorneys will keep an active dialogue going with Chicago police on his behalf.
Fox's Mike Tobin. This is Fox News.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Make the good things last longer. Get 3 more days for free on our 3-day prepaid rate plan. That's 6 days of unlimited local calls, SMS, and 1 gig of 4G LTE data per day for just $7.95. Text HS3 to 3282 from your Docomo Pacific prepaid phone to sign up today. Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply.
The parents of a Colorado woman who disappeared last November say they think the father of her child killed her over a custody dispute.
This new information comes from a civil lawsuit that Kelsey Barrett's family filed against Patrick Frazee. Cheryl Lee and Daryl Barrett say the father of their grandchild told them a series of lies before and after they realized their daughter was missing. This includes an accusation that in a phone call, Frazee told Kelsey's mother the couple broke up on Thanksgiving Day and that he and Kelsey went to a Cracker Barrel restaurant that day where she agreed to give him 50-50 custody of their young daughter, Kaylee. In the court document, Kelsey's mother claims she pressed Frazee for details on her daughter's whereabouts and that she was told by Frazee that he, quote, had had enough and wasn't going to deal with things anymore.
Fox's Alicia Acuna. The International Rescue Committee says more than 60 people have died in recent weeks after leaving the last area controlled by ISIS in Syria. There may be a breakthrough in creating a universal flu vaccine.
Researchers in Australia saying they have discovered what they're calling killer T cells that have proven effective in fighting all forms of the common flu. Due to maturing strains of the flu each year, vaccine formulas need to be updated and can only offer limited protection. These new killer T cells offer the possibility that they could be used for a universal flu vaccine that wouldn't need to be constantly updated. The World Health Organization saying influenza in its many forms kills hundreds of thousands of people around the world each year. Jim McKay, Fox News.
A complex of ancient temples in Rome linked to the scene of Julius Caesar's murder will open to the public. The ruins below street level in downtown Rome are visible to pedestrians. The mayor of Rome announcing today that by late 2021, walkways will be built inside so tourists can have a look. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
Thank you so much for reminding me about that. It's just after 9 o'clock in the morning, and if your world is full of the same old lame old hamburgers, hit reset. Wendy's went and made a whole new world with a new made-to-crave menu. Peppercorn mushroom melt, barbecue cheeseburger, awesome bacon cheeseburger with actual bacon in it because it's Wendy's. Big, thick Applewood smoke-cut bacon. Yes, it's your world now, and Wendy's just rocked it. Try the new hamburgers on the made-to-crave menu today.
On March 9th, join Bank of Guam for the EFIT Run and Block Party to benefit Guam Cancer Care and American Cancer Society. Our Sunset 2K and 5K run will start at Chamorro Village with showtime at 4 and go time at 5. And don't forget about our block party starting at 4 o'clock, complete with food trucks, a kids zone, live entertainment, and a beer garden, so don't forget your ID. This is a bring your own water bottle event. The EFIT Run and Block Party, Saturday, March 9th. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
I got you 6 after now, and portions of the Ray Gibson Show, especially this one here on the Tuesday, that for some people that got the day off yesterday is going to feel like Monday. The rest of us, we'll catch up around you. This portion brought to you by the guys over at American President Lines. APL is shipping the future Guam Regional Medical City, first choice for your specialty care needs, and of course the guys over at Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
There were donuts. There was a chocolate. Did you see me eat the chocolate donut that Reese and his wife brought in here? Yes. Come from Crown Bakery. That was nice. I like the chocolate one, and people that know Ray Gibson for a long time know that he likes the chocolate. I'll take it. Donut with chocolate in it just by itself is fine. You can put peanuts on it if you want to. I like that. Rainbow sprinkles, that's nice too. But it just naked. Oh, with coconut. With coconut, yes.
A chocolate cake donut with creamy frosting on it.
Oh.
Yeah. Like a cream cheese frosting.
I'm trying to remember just how far Crown is from the house. I mean, it's not as close as the McDonald's is. It's not as close as the KFC is. Right, yeah. It's just further up the road. Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just man, sometimes this last hour of the program, sometimes that's a little tricky to get to because you get ideas in your head about things that you want to do, and I think I'm going to add. For those of you that are going to wonder where this comes from, the last hour of the program we were talking about Route 8, that area between the Old American Bakery and Quang Hoa, and somebody crossing the road. I think crossing the road. We'll find out from Tapao if they've got any new information on that. But my guess is that Tapao is fairly busy. Excuse me, that's that donut. That's the chocolate. He might be fairly busy doing some stuff related to accidents on the roadways today. But it might return to the roof. It has given me now something else that I want to ask Lou and Josh to fix while they're the governor and lieutenant governor of Guam. Well, you know what my list looks like. It's not too far off from yours. Steel plates on the roadways, we got to get rid of that. We got to figure out what it is that needs to get the work done on them again, and go ahead and repave those things. Nice to see that there's some areas that are getting some attention up in Jigo, right? They got that one intersection where they're scraping the roadway. They pulled off all of the friction course, and they're scraping the roadway, and then they're going to put it all back down. And that's groovy because there's other sections of the roadway that they up there that also need a little bit of work. But I'm going to add one more item to the list of crap I want Lou and Josh to fix while they're governor, and that will be to put a sidewalk from the Guam International Airport to Route 1. There's one, they've got that. There's this useless section of the airport area where it triangles. They've got this little triangle park there at the Guam International Airport. So you go on one way, and it'll take you towards the old airport and Tidzin, and you go straight, and it will take you up the rest of Route 10 Alpha to Route 16, right? And so, like I said, it's this one just kind of useless section there, and there's something like a sliver of a sidewalk that was probably part of the forgettable road work that they did years ago. And then it stops. It just stops. We're done. That's as far as we could go, guys. We'll run out of concrete or something. And it's not that. It ain't that far from where it ends towards the Marine Corps Drive. And I don't know that it would take a whole lot. Manpower or equipment or money to go down there and lay down about 6 feet or so of sidewalk down the side that'll take you all the way up to the intersection. And then you press the buttons, and then you walk up to the Guam International Airport. I don't know why we couldn't do something like that. Because I don't want to make a prediction. I don't want to call the devil this way. But what's going to happen when a Korean gets clobbered by a car going 100 miles an hour in reverse down that road in the middle of the night, and it makes it to the Korean social media, and I can see some of these guys writing about how bass-ackwards this town is. They couldn't provide a sidewalk from their quote international airport down to the area where tourists actually stay. Right? I mean, is this too much of a stretch for us to be able to do? Now, I know it costs money, but I tell you what, it costs less money than trying to rebuild the Korean hospitality industry. And you don't have to be all that old to remember before there was a blossoming Korean hospitality industry, and then the plane crashed, and they stopped coming. Remember? Mm-hmm. I do.
Dude.
Yeah.
A moving sidewalk.
Oh, that would be
enclosed. The Japanese would build it for us. That would lead all the way from the airport into Lower Tumon. They would never have to just get off the plane, check in with customs, and then pop right in onto the moving sidewalk, and we'll slowly truck them on.
Yeah, I'm going to trump it up. We'll make the Mexicans pay for it. That's something McDonald would say, right? Look, anything. I'm just saying we need to have something down there. Cause writing, it's getting so bad that nobody can drink and drive safely anymore. Ba-dum-bum. The government should get with the auto dealers, like Nissan as an example, and see how new car tech built into the cars can help lower the chances of injury and fatalities on the road, i.e. automatic emergency braking. New cars with artificial intelligence need proper painted lanes on the road. Now, we've talked about this. Nissan's got, what's the name of the one over at Nissan, the Kick or something like that? And I know that AK has got some cars from Lexus, and they've got these little sensors in the front. And what they're looking for is the lane markers. One of them to catch the lane markings on the inside, and one to catch the lane markers on the outside. That way, if you're tired or you're distracted and you leave the roadway, it'll actually turn the wheel back over. It'll nudge you so you stay in there. And some of the technology has, as he says, automatic braking systems where if it detects there is something in the way, it's going to stop the car. It's not going to wait for you to tap the brakes. It will stop the car
That's
to
dangerous
protect
for the
itself.
driver, though.
If you're a distracted driver, you learn your lesson pretty quick, don't you?
Yeah, but you can't give a pedestrian who's breaking the law the precedence over a driver who's going down the road lawfully. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well, it's hard for me to say who's in the right, who is in the wrong, where the potential for death is.
The law is clear. I mean, look, a matter of convenience has nothing to do with the law. You can't break the law just because it's inconvenient for you.
Well, yeah, but my convenience isn't a death sentence.
It is if you cross the street in the middle of the night.
I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but I am saying that should not be. It should not be. Well, the guy's walking down the middle of the road. What did he expect was going to happen? Now he's dead, and so maybe there's a family that's missing some kind of income. Maybe there's kids that's going to grow up without a father. Well, because he should not have been in there in the first place. It's nobody has to feel bad. There is no tragedy involved here because he was breaking the law when he was doing it. Especially if there is a mechanism where we're using technology to be able to prevent it.
Yeah, well, if it were to happen to me, that would just be my bad decision, and that's what happens when I make bad decisions.
And my old man would say the same thing. You fell out of the tree and you broke your arm. You deserved every mark you got coming down the tree, and you deserved to have your arm broken, as a matter of fact. But I don't know that in a time where things like that are preventable, or in the very least we can mitigate the injuries to a degree using technology, I don't know why we wouldn't necessarily need to do that. A little maintenance and paint can end up, as Cos finishes up, saving hundreds of lives and tens of thousands in property damage. Something to think about. I'm with you. I like the idea, but and I ranted about this the other day. It's my brain seems to be orbiting around the airport area as you're coming down the road that takes you from the old airport and the Teedson area. You get down to that intersection, and you wait for the cars on 10A to turn right, turn left, get into your side, and there's no more traffic marks there. They're gone. There's no more reflectors. There's no more stripes on the road. You can kind of make it out in the darkness and a little bit of the light that you get there in the middle of the night. You can kind of make out where your lane is, and I always try to veer a little bit more right, because I'm not sure where the oncoming lane is all the time. I can see the little cuts in the road where they have the sensors for the light.
It looks kind of like a bumper car track.
Yeah, there's just not enough there. Hey, Marcus Reynolds is online. Commander, how do I look in my tutu, Commander? Bob Camacho, I see Vicky Ganashis Borja, who is going to be with us on Friday. I think we've worked it out where we picked out a day that is going to work for us, and nobody's doing telephone conferencing. So I've got her scheduled to be my Fox with Brains on Friday. It's a portion of the program, and I try to do it as often as I can. That is where I get somebody just drop dead gorgeous, but also got the sense that God, smart business lady and things like that. So I'm going to have her in the studio on Friday. And if you think that there is a Fox near you that's got brains, got a great business sense, got some hustle on, and you think would make a great guest on this program, Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com. That's how I got Vicky there. Vicky there is my buddy Jim said, you got to get Vicky into the program. He says, that's one smart lady, and you will be smarter because you're in the same room with her. Anybody else playing around besides Kaz? Richard Leon is there. Darlene Bloss, who is the daughter of an actual, no-kidding war hero. Eddie Cruz, Vivian Sablan LG, Mers Greeno, Lisa Barroso, Doyan An Morato. Doyan with what's the name of that company? The Windjammer, Windy, the Alaska Native Corporation. We're going to get them back in the studio one of these days, talk about some of the cool things that they're up to and the new friends that they've made. Mary Park, Kat Phillips Uggan, got Beck Salazar. Tedo is online from the ranch. Joyce Lohan, Mingo Reed. Nice to see Joyce and her husband over at John's thing at Pirates Cove the other day. Who else is playing around here? Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada. My trail buddy John Wigston, Jose Martinez. John. Hour 45, bro, in the 13-miler. What do you think? Jose Martinez is there. Jim Healy, Ed and Karen Untalon, Alfredo Mendoza, Stephen Durking, Pete Guerrero, Rich Young Ibanez is there. And you might know Rich Ibanez. He's the new guy in charge of the Department of Parks and Recreation. And I don't know. Are we? Did we fill up the Agana swimming pool yet? Has anybody put the hose in that thing to get some water in it so we can start swimming around? Or are we still in the well wall thing? I haven't caught it up on that. I think it's one of those. I've got a couple of other deals that I'm going. We need to do some follow-ups on this, some stories that we were all crazy about last week that we've kind of forgotten. I got Annette. Was it? Wait. I got to look at it again. Eunice Mendiola, Jeanette Shimizu. Suzuki is there. Mandy Pahella, Corina Gutierrez Ludwig, Diana Rose in Washington State, Lady D, and Anita Muffness with the Valentine's Eyes, all playing around on the Facebook. It's great to have you. It's great to have you there, and nice to see just as many people in the late hours of the program as there are messing around with me in the early hours of the program. All right, so. Let me because I constantly distract myself. I'm constantly going, I got to get back to the table of contents, got to get back to talking about the items that might be of some importance to the community here, listening to the radio. We did talk with Monty Mesa and this is specific mostly to the ladies in the program, because it's just a tragedy when a store closes. It's an even bigger tragedy when it's a shoe store, right? And so Rita, Vivian, Vicky, the guys over at GPO are aware that there are issues with the parent company of Payless Shoe Source. They are prepared. Should Payless Shoe Source return the contract and say, we can't stick around here anymore because the boss told us we have to close, we are confident of a couple of things. Number one, going to be a gigantic sale. Going to be a gigantic sale. And let me just put this out there. I hope it is a big enough sale so that when because one of my feet is not the same size as the other feet's, and I've actually done this and been caught where I take the shoe that fits the right foot, say it's a 10, and then I will get a shoe that will fit the left foot. Let's say that's a 9.5, and stick them in the same box. Well, you know what the rules are at Payless Shoe Source? They check. they check. They want to make sure that they're selling you the same size shoe. I didn't know what to tell the lady. I laid out a couple of pairs right in front of him. She checked. She says, well, this one here is a half size larger than that size. Hold on a second. Let me go get the right size for you. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, do I have to My daughter's looking at me like I'm a criminal. Like, oh, God, Dad, you've been caught. What's going to happen? Nobody's ever going to trust Ray Gibson anymore because he got caught trying to scam the system at Payless Shoe Source. But they're closing now, so I can say it. No, they might not close. Hopefully the sale will be big enough so that I'll be able to actually get away with it this time because, I'm that kind of guy. There is a little bit of larceny in me from time to time. But Monty was also, he says, look, if something happens to Payless Shoe Source, we'll just get another shoe place. There are all kinds of other shoe businesses that will do that kind of almost outlet business. And if we got to find somebody, then we'll find somebody. A lot of businesses want to come to Guam, and there's no room for them. And I'm going, there's no room for them, huh? That's interesting because there is the beginning of a mall in Tumon across Fiesta. And the Chowder House, it's actually called the Charter House, but I call it the Chowder House. There's a mall. I want to say, I think it's there. That the building's done. It's been done for years. There's obviously some work that needs to get done. And I know that they were talking to people about coming in and populating it with stores. But a whole lot of nothing's going on. So I think it's interesting that Monty said, yeah, don't worry, if these guys move out, then we've got somebody that can move in almost right away. And it might be a shoe store, might be some other kind of retail. But if there is that kind of demand now for additional retail opportunities here on Guam, why is that place over in Tumon still empty? Why haven't we done something like that? And the answer, I don't know. Maybe somebody that's watching, somebody in the Facebook Live, somebody in the chat room might be able to tell me what they think is happening with that, and then we'll go and find out. But I thought that was interesting. Now on the subject of bed bugs. And I know I've been over this a couple of times, and you're going, Ray, that's not news. And the answer is I don't care. It's always about what's interesting to me. On the topic of bed bugs, my buddy Ken Williams indicated to me that he gets about 2 or 3 calls every once in a while for people that say, I think I've got bed bugs in the house. And you can dispatch them yourself with anything that will cook them over 120 degrees. So take the bed sheets out and wash them and blow dryer on them for 120 degrees. If you've got a steam cleaner, and if you've got an iron, you've got a steam cleaner, steam that up 212 degrees, and that ought to be sufficient to kill the bugs on the bed. And so he says, yeah, I get calls from people that have bed bugs. And I said, were any of them hotels in Tumon? And he said, why, yes. I forgot to add, he's busy, so I didn't ask him which one. But I obviously curious to know which ones they are, because I don't want to go and do one of those staycations in the hotel and goof off someplace if I think I'm going to get bed bugs that are going to follow me home in my luggage.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
No, I don't think that would be a good thing either. So
that's what's good about living in a ghetto where I am, because I have just about as good a view as any of the hotels do.
Yeah.
But it's my ghetto, so.
Yeah, but did you have a bed bugs problem at your place?
No. I even got
problem?
a cat and didn't have fleas.
Yeah,
I don't think they like it up there.
Yeah, I think you're actually in not a bad place, centrally located. Got a Payless right down the street, and got the beach within 5-minute walk.
But I want to move to the east side. I really liked it. I went over there to Jeff's on Sunday and got looking at the the landscape again. It's like only the third time I've been over there, and I was like, I think when my lease is up, I'll try to move over here.
Yeah, there's a lot to like living on that side of the island, and I know what you're talking about, and I've seen some of the very Tony properties that you've got down there. I'll remind you about something though. I'll remind you about something. Check the rentals. Check the price of rentals down there. Check the price of the homes down there.
Right.
Because it's like this. The population center of the island of Guam is north of the Micronesia Mall. Better than half of the population of the island lives up there, based on, I want to say, the last read of the census. Certainly above that latitude is where the population center is. Where is the money center? Where are the places where people have more money? And it ain't up there.
Right.
It is south of the Agana Shopping Center, according to some economic census data that I know a couple of retailers were looking at. And so that's why there is, and frankly, an Agana Shopping Center, is because they recognize that people coming in off Route 4, this is the first shopping that they're going to get to. Is the first form of retail civilization. And so we've got restaurants, we got shopping areas, we got all this other stuff that's going to be there, and they just need to capitalize and market to that crowd as they're coming in. So there's, you've got that. So as I'm saying, if that's where the money is, then that's, I think, where the people that have got homes and apartments to rent are going to say, hey, no problem, Mikey, come on in here. What are you paying out at the Granada? What is that? $400? Ooh, hit you for 12 on the studio apartments. So I don't know.
Yeah, and $400.
Maybe I don't know. We get enough real estate people in here often enough. Maybe I'll ask that question. The diaspora, if you will, of rental rates on Guam. It wasn't that long ago. I was looking at that kind of thing, and you can you can rent 3-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom townhouse in Manila for $1,200. That same $1,200 gets you a studio in Tumon. So, obviously there are going to be some kind of differences and disparities on that. 888-825-5888-TALK. Here's a guy who knows a thing or two about retail. The other Governor Leon Guerrero. Ken, LG, good morning.
Wow, this late in your show, you strike gold with 2 real hot topics, and we're running out of time.
If we're interesting enough, I can add another hour.
Well, the retail environment is an excellent topic, and also the housing situation, because at the rate housing is escalating, we're going to be like Hawaii, where 93,000 qualifies for housing assistance.
I bet we're pretty close to that. Maybe just one more census away from all of that kind of thing, and people are going to start throwing numbers together, and we're going to sit around and go, wow, it's ugly, and wow, we all saw it coming.
Yeah. And it's going to get uglier before it gets any better, because I'm looking at an apartment that I rented when I first moved back to the island. It was $550 a month in 2007. Now it's $1,100 a month And the only difference in that apartment that I can tell is it's been painted. It must be a hell of a paint job.
Yeah, we went in there. We did two coats of paint. We actually came in. I put a primer and 2 coats of paint there.
We used Earl Schweib diamond gloss.
As I said, we all saw it coming, and unfortunately now we're at this point where, this goes back to the military buildup questions that we were all asking at the time. Is there's going to be more military that are going to be living here, more dependents that are going to be living here, and they're going to be saying, all right, we're going to get the housing allowance from Uncle Fed, and we're going to go and start staying in some of the more Tony neighborhoods. That drives the price up for units in those Tony neighborhoods, and then they go, that's okay. We'll build more. And then we come to realize that guys with even minimal construction skills, you can't get them for less than $20 an hour because everybody working on base, and the cost of the materials has gone up. I don't want to say skyrocketed. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it that much, but we do know that the cost of the materials, the cost of the goods has gone up. So even if you wanted to build for low to middle income, you couldn't do it. You'd never be able to get the money back. And I had a couple of real estate experts in here saying, even the investors, because there's a high end now on the housing allowances, and so as they begin to start looking at their margins get smaller based on the cost of goods, the cost of the labor, and even the cost of fixing things up. Even some of the investors are saying, margins, the return's too thin on that. I'm going to go start looking elsewhere.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen because we don't have a free market economy here on Guam. We have a government-driven economy here on Guam. And on one side, you've got the military, and as the population gets poorer and poorer with the cost of living going up, more and more people qualifying for housing assistance and Section 8, then that takes away housing at the other end of the spectrum. Yep. So ordinary middle-class people who have fairly good jobs, 2 or 3 of them maybe, can't find places to rent.
And don't qualify for 80% of what they might be interested in buying.
Or qualify for the $1,900 housing subsidy that an Airman Basic gets. So what we're seeing here is we're going to see housing continue to collapse. And at the same time, and this is, you hit on a topic that was dear to my heart because for 30 years I was a retail consultant in the mainland. And we're looking at the retail business collapsing here on Guam with the latest announcement. The fact you've got an empty mall there in Tumon.
Yep.
There's not enough population here to support a strong or a vibrant retail market when you've got the internet just sitting on the other side of a postage stamp.
Yes, and we recognize that there's a lot of people that are doing that, and it would not surprise me if there was some kind of legislation in the near term to put some kind of an internet tax on purchases. We've already seen the Department of Revenue and Taxation becoming more and more aggressive on use tax collection. They will hold up your business license if you made an order and did not pay the use tax on it. That happened here when we were going for our renewal.
Selling cigarettes.
What's that?
Unless you're selling
cigarettes, yeah. And then we look the other way for the tune to $14 million.
Well, it goes back to the fact I'm concerned because I keep seeing the other Leon Guerrero expanding the cost of government at the same time we see revenues beginning to decline. And somewhere around the August, September timeframe, I predict we're going to start seeing the resurrection of the Tran again.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be interesting if Lester would be open to a conversation about doing that under a new administration. These guys are.
Schedule both of us to come in at the same time.
Yeah. Good luck on that. But you get me thinking about you know how the media will kind of give you the benefit of the doubt for the first 100 days, and I'm definitely doing that. But I don't know. Maybe we start doing the countdown. How far are we from day 101 of the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration? And everybody can go all gloves off and say, all right, show me what you've got. You know, I had Josh on this morning talking about all kinds of new enforcement techniques that are underway at the Department of Revenue and Taxation.
Well, you know, your statement makes sense in old world media, but we live in internet time now. You don't get the 100 days. And the reason you don't get the 100 days is you don't have a large middle class, you don't have stable economics, you don't have a government that is marginally within its budget. We have a government that's got over $100 million operating deficit, and every day the news gets worse. DOE is short $18 million. The governor's given $4 million back to the fire department. $6 million is being cut out of Section 30 money to pay the war claims. So, you know, we're seeing this perfect storm.
Well, not yet. Not yet on the Section 30. We're just not going to get that. That's just, you know, it's holed up. Guam can't touch it, and neither can the survivors of the Second World War and the atrocities then.
But my point is, the money's will be taken out of the Section 30. We either don't get it, or the survivors don't get it, but the government definitely doesn't get it. So they can't use it as that last minute.
Yeah, I get the idea. I can complain faster because it's internet time, but the truth of the matter is that they've just now been able to get the transition report out. It'll take some time for everybody to read it, and if they intend to read it, I'm not suggesting that everybody gets a blank check, or that we don't look sideways at a couple of things. I'm just saying that my expectations, certainly in the first 100 days, are going to be limited.
Well, mine are limited too, but I have a rising level of concern because instead of quietness, all we're hearing is commitment to pay this, to fund that, to hire this, to free the step increases, to add more people. But what we're not seeing is one of the mandates of the campaign was to reduce the cost of government. I haven't heard a single word about that. Have you?
Reducing the cost of the government?
Yeah.
They've turned off the streetlights on Route 8.
Hey, turn down the air conditioning. I was at Adelup yesterday. They got it set at 68.
72 is good. Jeff Pleadwell writing this morning, the real answer is to reduce GovGuam through privatization. Paying GovGuam employees 90% of our revenues is insane. Based on the services that you get back on that very, very same revenue. But we had that opportunity last year. In fact, this time last year, you remember you were fighting the Tran. I'd just gotten on the air, and the fun conversation that we were having at the time was, hey, this is a perfect time for us to reorganize the government of Guam. This is great. We got Trump coming through with this tax cut, and now we're going to have less money floating around the government of Guam. We have totally justified here in taking a look at the dollars and cents of the government and trying to figure out what we could jettison. No, to the degree that we need a
administration's response. We hired 444 people right after the governor declared the government is about to fail, even though I've just announced our first $1 billion budget. So therefore, we need a tax increase. And then, that's why I'm saying all these events are coming together, because at the end of the first 100 days, the seeds of destruction have been well planted and watered. So that's why I'm predicting that between July and August, we're going to start seeing the resurrection of the Tran, the zombie bill, I call it.
Yeah, it's possible. And let me see, when are we? How many? 6 months away from April the 15th? I think that's when it's going to be real tight sphincter time. When they absolutely positively by law have to pay out all of the tax refunds.
Well, they haven't put any money in the account yet, based on the last news stories on that I saw.
Yeah. As I said, tomorrow is the first of the deadlines on real property taxes, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of dollars floating coming in. We'll see if the projections on that meet with the actual revenue that comes in, and see just how upside down the budget's going to be after that. 9:38, dude. I got to run.
Okay.
I'll see you later. Appreciate the time. Appreciate your thoughts. Oh, smart fella guy. What time is it? It's High Connect time. Sorry, I got to put a little bit extra showbiz in there. Make up for the hair. It's High Connect time. Call them at 888-8888 or find them on the World Wide Web, because they're a step-ahead company. They got an actual website, iConnectGuam.com, and look where it says about great deals they've got for you. Push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
Experience the Take Care difference. Take Care members can count on accessing a high-quality, credentialed network of on-island providers, including the convenient one-stop FHP Health Center and Urgent Care, access to an extensive off-island network of providers, and the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. You can count on Take Care to deliver comprehensive, accredited insurance coverage and quality health care when and where you need it. Take Care. Our island, your health plan. Learn more at takecareasia.com.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-3 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details. My old man had a number of things that he was always right on. And one of them was that the good jobs, the real good jobs, are very rarely advertised. You get sometimes they'll be opening up someplace, and CEO, CFO, guys will get together over lunch, golf date, and say, we got an opening, and who do we know? And that's, in a lot of ways, that's how the jobs will get filled. Somebody says, oh, yeah, well, so-and-so's on the loose. So-and-so's not doing anything. Yeah, I heard he got let go, or whatever the case may be. And they'll yak it with each other about, well, yeah, maybe we'll bring him into our shop and see what's going on. Very rarely do those, high-end, 6-figure jobs ever get advertised for. And then, as though there needs to be an exception to prove the rule, there's this. Opening for Vice President of Business Intelligence Analytics with Docomo Pacific in Tuning. Minimum requirements, bachelor's degree in stats, economics, accounting, business analytics, or computer science. And if you've got a foreign equivalency of same, that is also acceptable. 6 years of post-batch progressive experience in business intelligence and business analytics. We need you to be able to use some statistical analysis software. I'm out. I can't even say it. Enterprise Guide, SAS programming. What's that? How's that pronounced? Squeal? SQL? Visual Basic, Think, Cell, Tableau, Dashboard, Software, etc. If you understand what I'm saying, if you know what the words that are coming out of my mouth mean, you might want to be the next guy that does business intelligence analytics at Docomo Pacific.
I can do statistical analyzing.
As I said, it is sometimes the best jobs aren't necessarily the ones that won't get advertised, but this one here, interesting company, interesting field. They're going into 5G before long, right? So, and who knows what kind of new technologies that's going to support, what kind of new, how do you say it, Internet of Things that's going to support. So I thought that was an interesting help wanted in the newspaper. You want details, pick up today's copy of the Guam Daily Post. Now, there is another set of jobs that I think might be worth looking into, if for no other reason because it involves meat, it involves bacon. I've been telling you about this for a while now, and they're here. The Cloverdale Foods reps are on Guam. From now until tomorrow, they're going to be at the Westin Resort Guam starting at 10 o'clock. So at the end of this program, put on your nice Zoris and go down there and learn about what it is that Cloverdale Foods has got to offer you by way of employment, and maybe match up your particular skills with the jobs that they have.
If you wear your fur-lined Zoris, you'll look prepared.
Yes. Well, where do we say these guys are from? Mandan, North Dakota?
Yeah.
And the temperature in Mandan, North Dakota, it'll take me just a second to look up here.
It'd be like 700 below zero or something.
Already that low, huh? Wait a second. MANDA.
Actually, I think they're in a little warm snap right now in between systems.
Weather.
They're probably up to about 40 degrees.
I don't know, dude. It's snowing in North Carolina, in Vegas.
Yeah, well, it goes from west to east.
Okay, so you got a 50-50 chance of getting this right. Don't look. You got a 50-50 chance of getting it right.
I said it was probably about 40.
40?
Yeah.
Okay. Above or below?
Above.
Okay, 40 above?
Yeah.
There's that song in my head. It's 40 below. Ride truck.
Nice.
Don't give a blank because I'm off to the rodeo. It's an Alabama left and an Alabama right. You know the song, right?
I do.
All boys do. Mandan, North Dakota, the temperature at 5 o'clock in the afternoon is 6.
6.
Above.
Yeah. A little bit off.
T-shirt weather, right? These guys running around in
long as the
in
wind's
their
not
shorts.
blowing, yeah.
So here's the jobs, and if you don't make it today, they're going to be tomorrow, a day after tomorrow at GCC, and then on the 22nd at the University of Guam. So they have a quality assurance guy. I want part of that job. I want to be that job because I just need to eat a bite of everything to make sure that it's good. There's sanitation. I don't want that job. Production, no. Packing assistant, no. Unless you can sample on the thing on the conveyor line.
Right.
You know, just the little end pieces of the rib. I love that. That's so good. I'd have a little cup of soy sauce and a little cup of Finadeni in my belt, right? So just grab some and just dip it in there. And then they have, I don't know what this job is. It's a bacon assistant. I
applied for that.
I'm almost tempted to go down to the Westin today and meet with the Cloverdale food people just to ask them.
I offered to pay to work that job.
What is a bacon
I will
assistant?
give you $5 an hour to let me be the
Exactly.
bacon assistant.
So there's that. If you're looking for a job, these guys might be doing it. But again, you need to eyes wide open. The job is in Mandan, North Dakota, where it's 6. And I was asking out loud not that long ago about why it is that these guys are back on Guam. It's not the first time they've been here looking for employees, and it's my take that what's going on is these guys are, you get these people from Guam and Marianas, Micronesia, out to that part of the world, and it's just so stinking cold I can't stay. I mean, in the summertime it's cold. What do they got? Like in Mandan, there's probably like 2 or 3 days where it's nice.
Yeah, summers actually aren't bad.
Okay.
Yeah, but winters are
That just
bitterly
sounds
brutal cold.
Yeah, that just sounds brutal.
But you know another thing, what really happens, and we had someone talk about this on Facebook, they get up there, and right now there is a big booming oil business in the Dakotas. So they go there for the meat plant, and then suddenly they at the bar one night having a drink after work, they meet up with the guy at the oil plant, and he says, hey man, I can give you like 3 times what you're making at the meat place to come work for me.
But I'm the bacon assistant. Why would I do that?
Because you can move into that really big house.
There we go. There we go. So I remember that conversation that we were having. So if you're looking for something, and it's not like you're going to Mars, or is it?
Compared to Guam, yeah,
think
it
about
almost
that.
is.
Ken LG wasn't quite done. He writes on Facebook Live, with the $1 billion plus GovGuam budget moving ahead intact, businesses closing and leaving the island, it won't be too much longer before we'll start hearing about the need for the government to borrow its way out of debt, leaving taxpayers to pay the cost. Well, can I give you a piece of the good news here is, it won't be, majority of it won't be us. We're just a finite number of years that we're going to have to live with this $200 million a year crushing debt. What will eventually happen is we'll die, and our kids and our grandkids will have to eat all of the cost of all of the borrowing and the lending that we've treated ourselves to, because we weren't prepared to pay the waiter at the end of the big buffet, the big party we've been having since the 70s around here. So that's what's going to happen. We'll just kick the can so far down the road, it ain't going to be our problem. We'll be here. We'll pay the early low interest numbers, right, and leave the kids with the higher interest and the big balloon payments towards the end. 9:47 in the morning. So you got that playing around in my head and on the table of contents, looking at a couple of other things that I thought were interesting. And I can't get the details on this because I guess Rory's out of town. Did he split? Did he go with Governor Lou?
I forgot where he said he was, but
he
definitely
didn't.
long
Not
distance. Yeah,
okay.
he's not here.
Okay, not Washington D.C.
No,
that didn't ring a bell. Okay,
went, no,
because I thought it might be interesting him, go off and carry Lou's luggage.
Yeah,
but I think Jeff's gone. I think her husband's gone.
Oh, okay.
So she got 2 people to carry the luggage.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah. Anyway, so this story about the sex offender. And there seems to be some gaps, maybe just gaps in my understanding of what's going on. So we've found this guy. He was arrested. He was charged and found guilty of rape, I guess, in Spain. And before the sentence could be carried out, he split and found his way on Guam on some kind of personal marine craft. And somebody was sick, so they had to pull into, as has happened here for hundreds of years, pulled into Apple Harbors, and somebody go to the hospital, somebody get medicines or whatever. And that's like a couple of weeks ago. And he has been found here, and so that's the part that I'm kind of curious about is how did they find him? You want to talk about your proverbial needles in a haystack? So who was it that was able to line this guy's identification up with this rape rap in Spain?
Yeah, I think that's a surprising thing. Yeah, because they have to declare once they arrive because they're international. So they have to declare and enter through port of entry there at the port, just like any other international traveler does. And that may be where they found the tip, is in the check. But then it took them a little while to add it all up and then get him. They may not have even said anything about it at first. But they got the bump, and then they said, well, let's call Interpol and see if we can verify this. And then so they found out where he was through. At that point, it's an easy search to find out where he's checked into a hotel or whatever. And then once you get that confirmation, then it gets a little easier to find him.
Yeah, it's just fuzzy in the reporting that I've read on it so far. I'm kind of curious about all of that stuff, and what was it that finally identified him as a sex offender, and now what's going to happen is the extradition. They've contacted the Spanish authorities, and the Spanish authorities said, "Oh yeah, we want him. We want him. Hold on to that guy." And I don't know what's going to happen. Does somebody here get to take him to Spain? Does somebody from Spain going to come out here and handcuff him and fly him all the way back to where it is, so that he can finally get the justice that he has so far managed to escape? So we'll watch and we'll see how that plays out. But there is in my mind some kind of great dramatic story there. As I said, Lulian Guerrero on her way to Washington, D.C. If she's not already there, I got an idea of when it is that they're going to be coming back. So acting Governor Tenorio is going to be in the chair for a little bit. And as he indicated this morning, there looks like there might be some executive orders that will be coming out of Adelup in the very near future that I don't know, might make a difference in things moving forward, at least for the administration, and trying to get things faster for the constituency that is looking for better service. So we've got she's going to be there talking about the World War II Loyalty Recognition Act. And I guess just go, okay, so they made decisions and they were wrong, and we just found out about it. And can we correct this real fast? Because it's not like any other part of the population of Guam. These people are dying off at an alarming rate. They're all very, very old. So can we come up with some kind of administrative solution as quickly as we can get Congress to move? Also, there is a ban from the Department of Homeland Security on H-2B labor coming out of the Philippines, and that affects the entire United States of America. But my guess is it does not impact as many places in the country as it has impacted us here. It's already difficult to get Filipino workers to Guam to work on projects, military or otherwise, and that just made it exacerbated the problem, if you will. And so she needs to talk to people at Homeland Security about that, as well as the conversation about earned income tax credits and the idea that maybe we could get the federal government to pay us back what we have paid into that. It is an unfunded mandate. And we are treated differently than other jurisdictions in the country. And some people will say, well, you're not paying into this, or that and justify justify this second-class treatment that we get around here as a territory in our federal relations by saying that we don't pay into that or we're treated differently on other things, and that's, in my mind, not the correct answer here. And I asked, because I didn't see it in any of the journalism this morning, I asked Josh, I said, what about cockfighting? Never mind the H2, never mind them be the EITC. Let's get to the really important thing. Cockfighting ban. It's going to take effect in 10 and a half months. Come on, we got to get in front of this full court press. And he said, well, actually, we are going to be talking with, Auntie Lou is going to be talking with the leaders of the other territories and have them get together. The other governors of the territories and their congressmen are going to get together, and they're going to go talk to a wall in Washington, D.C. It will be just like this. Well, you made the decision, and you didn't even consult with us, and yada, yada, yada. It will be as though they are talking to a wall. I predict nothing is going to happen, which is why I'm trying to get as many of my cockfighting buddies into an understanding of how to grow recreational marijuana, because that's probably going to happen first. Recreational marijuana is probably going to be legalized here on Guam before we get anywhere near to lifting that cockfighting ban. Been wrong before. I don't know if it's going to happen now. All right, Mike says I got to take the last break of the program, so okay, go.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. Every once in a while, I want you to know, being a Taurus, I'm a sensitive guy, and every once in a while I'll see something on the Facebooks or the Instagram that reaches in there and just, it echoes the sentiment that is in my soul at the time. I.e. this. It's just a little meme. Old typewriter font they're using on this. It says, old love songs still have the most beautiful lines. And isn't that so? Isn't that so? It was Valentine's last week, and I don't know about you, but I broke out the playlist. And listening to old tunes, old Boss Skaggs tunes, old Toto tunes, and some great love songs by them. A bunch of crazy old R&B stuff that was floating around in the 1970s, and then magically went from there to what I consider to be maybe one of the most romantic songs ever written and performed. I think we all remember the Sugar Hill Gang and their song "Rapper's Delight" from what was that, 1979? I get wispy just thinking about it. Just calls into so many emotions and things like that. But I mean, do you ever do that? You're into social media. You look at these things. You ever look at some of these almost inspirational memes?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just go, wow, yeah. that does work.
Oh, I share plenty. Yeah, people get tired of my sharing of the inspirational stuff.
It's like this way. No, we don't need more sleep. It's our souls that are tired, not our bodies. We need nature. We need magic. We need adventure. We need freedom. We need truth. We need stillness. We don't need more sleep. We need to wake up and live. Isn't that special? And it's got this little boy and a little girl, and they're running down this path. It's just so beautiful.
I'm sorry, but I need sleep.
These people, whoever wrote that, don't do morning shows. That's easy enough to look at and see where that is. And I think I think that's about it. I've got a sense of where we're going to be. So, congratulations to Linda DeNorsey. I didn't have a chance to talk about this, and I don't have much time to riff on it right now. Linda DeNorsey is going to get the job over at the Department of Public Health and Social Services, and I like the way that she is thinking. So if you got somebody that is busted for environmental services violation, i.e. there shouldn't be cockroaches actually in my food. There shouldn't be anything like that in the food preparation and serving area. So when that happens, in addition to being shamed with the big D, not that big D, the other big D, stop it, get your head out of the gutter, what we can also do is apply some kind of monetary fine. And then we'd use that monetary fine. Imagine this, guys at EPA, listen carefully. We would use that monetary fine to go after people and hire more investigators. Right. Boom. Mind blown. Where was that idea before?
I'm going to open up a Cambodian food restaurant and really mess them up.
Because they eat rat.
They eat bugs.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's got to be some kind of what is it? I don't know. We'd cook it halal style or something. I don't know.
Barbecued cockroach.
9:58 and change. But congratulations, she had her hearing yesterday, and it's Linda and Pinko DeNorsey, and I got a feeling that she's going to be going, if for no other reason, because of the great work that she has done with the clinics and things like that. I think it's going to be okay. And I suppose just enough time for the last part of the program yesterday. I'm delighted and proud to have been asked by the folks over at Make-A-Wish to help them with their mileage drive yesterday. And it's not like we're not going to charge these guys. And frankly, I would have done it anyway. But it was so nice because as I opened up page 2 of today's Guam Daily Post. There it is. There's a picture. The last crew that we were working with. There's Anna, and let me see. There's Jay, and Eric is in there, and who else is the other girl in the picture? It's Therese from St. Therese, and me. Look, Pop, I got my picture in the paper. I'm famous now. The radio station is KUSG. I got to go. There's stuff that I got to take care of today, and I hope that by taking care of it now, it will make it so that we can actually start the Tall Tales program on time this afternoon at 4. So we'll work on those things. I'll be back on the radio with you tomorrow because it's Wednesday, right? We work on Wednesdays. Okay, so tomorrow morning 6 o'clock. Until then, you have a terrific rest of your Tuesday. From Michael Knight and Kevin Kerrigan and Blake Watson, thanks for listening. KUSG Agana.
To Maduro's rule. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump in Miami, Florida, speaking about the political crisis in Venezuela.
We seek a peaceful transition of power, but all options are open.
The Miami area has the largest concentration of Venezuelans in the U.S. The U.S. is backing opposition leader Juan Guaido.
We want to restore Venezuelan democracy. And we believe that the Venezuelan military and its leadership have a vital role to play in this process. If you choose this path, you have the opportunity to help forge a safe and prosperous future for all of the people of Venezuela.
The president calling on Maduro to set his country free. Protests across the country today against President Trump's decision to declare a national emergency to build the border wall.
Bishop Garrison says he's an Iraq war veteran who works with the Truman National Security Project. He blasted the decision to declare a national emergency to build a wall during a protest in D.C.
It's a signature Trump move. It's wasteful, it's ineffective, and it's meant to gratify his ego.
In Atlanta, the legal director of the ACLU says they are planning to sue.
The declaration of national emergency threatens the human rights of all people and opens wide the door to extremist authoritarian rule.
The president has said there is an immigration-related emergency, and the declaration is an attempt to free up as much as $8 billion to build more than 230 miles of barrier.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. West Virginia teachers' unions have called a statewide strike over an education bill they view as retaliation for a 9-day walkout last year. The strike will start tomorrow. 7 British lawmakers quitting the main opposition Labour Party over its approach to issues including Brexit and anti-Semitism. This is Fox News.
Fox
Fox Nation is the place for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. New opinion shows from Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, and Tommy Lahren you can only get by signing up for Fox Nation. Plus, the real stories behind the headlines. Documentaries on Chappaquiddick, Jimmy Hoffa, and more that you'll only find on Fox Nation. More of the opinion done right you crave? It's on Fox Nation. Documentaries and specials you can't get anywhere else? They're on Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com today and sign up now for Fox Nation. Opinion done right now.
Chris Wallace on Fox News Channel.
The animating question for me is always, what's going to happen next? If people sense that you're not pushing an agenda, you're not pulling your punches, they're going to rely on you. It's a commitment to the truth. One of the advantages, I think, of having been in this business so long, you're able to detect what is real, what is important, and what's just political noise.
Chris Wallace on Fox News Channel. Real news, real honest opinion.
The Vatican calling together leaders to discuss the sex abuse scandal gripping the church.
The Archbishop organizing it has said he hopes it will be a turning point for the church, which is increasingly battered by allegations of misconduct. Survivors of abuse have flown to Rome to meet with some of the key people running the upcoming summit to share their stories and suggestions for how to make sure this behavior stops and that there is accountability going forward. This, as a group called Bishop Accountability says, there is a whole web of complicity in the church. Survivors have repeatedly said they don't only want to see perpetrators punished, but also those who helped cover up for them. Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
Potential Democrat candidates for president in New Hampshire as they test the waters for their 2020 run.
Senator Cory Booker supports the Green New Deal, which would dramatically transform society to combat climate change. And in New Hampshire, he told Fox News, it's not fair to say massive changes are too expensive.
This is the lie that's going on right now. As a guy who's a former mayor, that shows you can actually revive your economy and create a bold green future.
Also in New Hampshire this weekend, Kamala Harris, who struggled to say whether or not she regrets reacting to the Jussie Smollett case by tweeting, quote, this was an attempted modern-day lynching.
I think that the facts are still unfolding, and I'm very concerned.
In Concord, New Hampshire, Peter Ducey, Fox News.
Billionaire Richard Branson says he hopes a concert he's putting on to rally humanitarian aid for Venezuela will help draw global attention and save lives. Branson tells the AP up to 300,000 people are expected to attend the February 22nd concert. It's being held in the Colombian border city. That's the staging point for foreign humanitarian aid. It's being blocked from entry to Venezuela by disputed President Nicolas Maduro. I'm Lee Silasera, and this is Fox News.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
Two patriotic kids from North Carolina make the Dean's List. The Roseboro Fire Department posted a picture to their Facebook page showing two neighborhood children putting their hands on their hearts as firefighters raised the flag. The kids had been riding a scooter and a hoverboard down the road when they paused, put their hands to their chests, and made the Pledge of Allegiance as the U.S. flag was being raised to full staff. An officer took the picture of the heartwarming gesture and asked for permission to post it on social media, which was promptly given by the two kids. He couldn't believe how many people responded. He also thinks these two kids could one day grow up to serve as firefighters or police officers, because both jobs require workers to be respectful and professional, and they are being taught that now, so there is hope for the future. Thank you to those wonderful kids for being a great example to the community, and to the Roseboro Fire Department for sharing such a wonderful show of patriotism. You all made the Dean's List. Janice Dean, Fox News.
From the Fox News radio studios in New York City, giving you opinions and facts with a positive approach. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Hey, thanks so much for listening, everybody. It's going to be a big show, and happy President's Day. My goodness, pick a president, tell me a story, or we'll give you a quiz question. We're also going to give away the George Washington Secret Six, the Young Reader Edition. I'll sign it and send it out today to try to get the next generation all pumped up to love America and be patriotic and at least know more about our story. How about a spy ring that helped George Washington win the Revolution, without which, without that victory, we're not here. or we're definitely not like we are. Meanwhile, this hour, two great guests, Rich Lowry, talk about the political scene right now, and Ambassador Dennis Ross, work for Republicans and as well as Democratic administrations, and can talk about how Joe Biden is selling us out overseas and embarrassing the country in Munich at a national security conference where he sits there and says what an embarrassment America is because he doesn't like President Trump. Inexcusable. But we begin.
Now, with the stories you need to know, it's Brian's Big Three.
Number 3.
So we said to Amazon, here's a fair deal. Bring us 25,000 to 40,000 jobs. You will get. Ultimately, when you give us a lot of revenue in the bargain, you'll get some incentives. And they said they wanted a partnership. But the minute there were criticisms, they walked away.
What a clown. If you thought Mayor de Blasio was an embarrassment before, now you're really embarrassing. He actually blames Amazon for leaving after a series of protest denials and demonstrations made it almost impossible for them to put down stakes. A deal that he cut with the governor goes awry, and he blames Amazon. I blame his party, the socialistic tendencies of AOC, who are fearful of the 29-year-old former bartender, and now they wonder why big business has left the big city. Tax dollars and jobs leave with it. Good job, Mr. Mayor. Blame yourself.
Number 2.
I'm going to be signing a national emergency. It's been signed by other presidents. From 1977 or so, it gave the presidents the power. They sign it. Nobody cares. I guess they weren't very exciting.
58 times. Emergency declaration at the border enacted as protests are planned on this President's Day against the president. Big shocker, MoveOn.org behind it. Will the president get his $8 billion? And why should we be able to, why are all of us able to agree on one thing? Why can't we? That there's a crisis at the border. How we do it should have been the problem. How we address it should have been the issue. Instead, now we have to have one party close their eyes and the other one try to make it accountable. It's very frustrating.
Number 1.
Discussion of the 25th Amendment was simply Rod raised the issue and discussed it with me in the context of thinking about how many other cabinet officials might support such an effort.
Andrew McCabe, his 60-minute interview without any salient follow-ups by Scott Pelley, who does not know any story except for the FBI story, made no effort to find out about what Andy McCabe was up to, what he was doing, why his other men and women around him got fired or forced to resign. In a very frustrating interview as Andy McCabe tries to rehab himself and get some money in his account, being that he was fired before he could get a pension. The former deputy director and acting director has an explosive book, and he tries to explain why he launched an investigation into this president and to this presidency. Question, why wasn't Pelley pushing back? Why didn't he ask about the dossier? Why didn't he ask about the corruption at the FBI? And that's where we'll begin. If you missed 60 Minutes, it's probably the most popular regular show in television. I think it's top 5. You probably saw the promos. If you listen to this show, you probably made time to watch it or tape it or DVR it. So Andy McCabe talks about a lot of different things that I'm going to discuss. But the thing that everyone's talking about and we'll begin with is the 25th Amendment. What's that? Well, it gives you permission to really push the president out. And it's in light of the fact that Woodrow Wilson had a stroke. His wife basically ran the country. They never told anybody. If that happens, the vice president's got to step up. People have brought up examples of what if JFK had recovered somehow from those horrific, from the bullet wounds to his head. He's still president of the United States, but barely alive. What happens? Well, the 25th Amendment would have to be enacted. The president of the United States was, they were thinking about the 25th Amendment enacting it. The FBI, by the way, doing this because of a series of reasons. Do I know the reasons? Number one, Michael Flynn didn't remember that he talked to Russia about Russian ambassador about possibly I don't know, lifting the sanctions. When he was asked about it, said he didn't remember. Okay, fine. Then they were upset that the president was speaking kindly about Russia, and then at one point during North Korea, he said Vladimir Putin told him the North Koreans don't have the missile technology to hit our shores. And even though our intelligence said yes, he said, I believe Vladimir. That according to Andy McCabe. We have not heard the president weigh in on that. It's the first time I did hear that. He also brought up the NBC interview, and he told Lester Holt it was because of Russia. Russia. But if he finished the sentence, they fired him because of Russia, if James Comey, that is. If you let him finish the sentence, he talked about other things that James Comey did. After Comey got fired, clearly McCabe was in a frenzy. Whether he was trying to watch his own back, which I imagine